Chapter 1906. A Great Battle at the Pinnacle. Su Yin faced off against the golden creature. They were like two sharp needles against an awl. The two experts were like steel as they clashed head-on. Their peak fighting strength erupted as they attacked each other. If the experts of the outside world were to see this battle, they would definitely be shocked. They were like two great emperor-level experts exchanging blows. The more powerful their auras erupted, the more savage the destructive storm formed. The heaven and earth were already riddled with holes. Su Yan's fist drew blood as he unleashed his peak fighting strength. For a short period of time, he went mad. It was a contest of pure physical strength. The most primitive fighting methods collided, and it was difficult to tell who would win. The two great experts were like two great celestial bodies as they continuously bombarded each other. Su Yan roared loudly. He knew he had encountered the most powerful enemy of his generation. In the end, he revived 120% of his fighting strength. The power he brandished not only surged violently, but also contained the burial of the heavens domain. This caused the void to become somewhat dark. Even the golden creature's exuberant golden chi and blood became somewhat dim. It was as if he was about to be buried. Your strength is very great, and your physique is very strong. You can't be called a fighting master. The next moment, the golden creature roared. His golden hair fluttered wildly as his fist suddenly rose from the ground. This fist was unexpectedly grand and extraordinary, causing the great Tao of order in the sky to resonate with it. Su Yan's expression changed. It was as if a cosmic comet smashed down. The fist imprint was so grand that it made people feel suffocated and tremble. The terrifying aura was everywhere. The heaven and earth were being operated by his fist, and it could erupt with terrifying killing intent at every turn. Su Yin brandished his fist to defend himself, but it was exceptionally bitter. It could be said that he couldn't bear to look straight at it. His fist was almost torn apart and about to explode. Dong, dong, dong. The golden creature threw out one fist after another. Every fist contained an absolute crushing force, causing Su Yan's body to deform and bend. It was as if he had been reduced to a sandbag. Su Yan's breathing became heavy. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, and the bones in his body were breaking. He had suffered internal injuries. His mouth and nose were bleeding, and his internal organs were ruptured. If it weren't for the fact that he had gone through countless trials and tribulations in the Fortune Mountain, he probably wouldn't have been able to withstand more than a few rounds. Su Yan's pupils were blazing like blades as he stared at the golden creature without blinking. This battle had given him too much inspiration. He had fused his combat techniques with the laws of heaven and earth, triggering a terrifying killing power of the laws of heaven and earth. This was a supreme saint technique for close combat, and it could shock the heavens and the earth. If it was someone with a weak physical body, then that person would be blasted into ashes in a single move. In actuality, this was equivalent to the combat power of a ruler. Brat, you can't do it. If this continues, you'll be beaten to death by me. Retreat. Go back and train bitterly for another 300 to 500 years before fighting me again. The golden creature was actually looking down on Su Yin, which made Su Yin furious. He shouted, I only let you make a few moves just now. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Also, your power is nothing more than a tickle to me. It can't even be considered as injuring me. You're rather stubborn. I'll beat you up. The golden creature stepped forward. His body was wrapped in a vast amount of heavenly power. His body was like the universe, and along with the boundless heaven and earth, the energy source that resonated down suppressed Su Yin. The person who can beat me up hasn't been born yet. If I can't even beat you, how can I talk about being invincible under the heavens? Su Yin also stepped forward. His body was blazing, and his flesh was infinitely dazzling. At this moment, Su Yin seemed to have disappeared and turned into the vast ocean of the 9 heavens. The heavenly might that poured down was shocking, and it was as if millions of mountains were sinking. The heaven-suppressing technique was activated, and it was specially used to restrain the golden creature's combat techniques. Suppress. Su Yan's expression was solemn as he let out a short shout. The heaven and earth trembled violently, and the golden laws of order that filled the sky were distorted. There was a feeling as if the heavens were about to collapse and become riddled with holes. Roar! The golden creature let out a low roar. All the pores on his body glowed, and a vortex seemed to be born within his body. As he inhaled and exhaled, the laws of order that filled the sky gathered and penetrated his body. Within his body, in an instant, his body expanded greatly and turned into a golden giant. His body was tens of thousands of feet tall, and he was indomitable. He was unafraid even when facing the suppression of the heaven-suppressing technique. You can even swallow the heaven and earth. Su Yan called him a freak. This old fellow was too excessive, swallowing the heaven and earth in one gulp. Even the heaven-suppressing technique lost its effect. The golden creature seemed to have entered an impenetrable domain, and his entire body was overflowing with holy light. I'm the most powerful creature in the heaven and earth. The heaven and earth are mine. The golden creature's tone was very arrogant. His fist rose once again, and it was truly exceptionally frightening. The heavens were torn apart, and a terrifying attack smashed towards Su Yan. The heaven and earth swayed, and the sun and moon lost their light. This attack was enough to threaten Su Yan's life. He realized his own inadequacies, and he still needed to continue cultivating and training in order to create a combat system that belonged to him. Chi! Su Yan's palm suddenly rose, and the entire space and time darkened. This was a terrifying influence that involved the space and time of the heaven and earth. Even the golden creature's body was affected and began to shrink. Reincarnation heaven punishing Tao. Su Yan's palm blade erupted, boundless and boundless. The great Tao was disintegrated, and the heaven and earth collapsed. Su Yan comprehended the most powerful killing power, the ultimate art that was tempered through 100 reincarnations. It could be called the reincarnation heavenly blade art. Dang! The reincarnation blade landed solidly on the golden creature's fist, and a deafening sound reverberated. Even though the enormous blade radiance was collapsing inch by inch, there was still an ocean-like blade energy that splashed onto the golden creature's body. This was the power of reincarnation. It was supported by the blade radiance, and it could destroy all things in the world. It was simply about to evolve into a forbidden power. Roar! The golden creature let out a low roar. His somewhat withered, enormous body was burning with golden, sacred flames. His roar split the sky, and he wanted to shatter reincarnation. His two fists attacked at the same time, and his battle stance was ferocious. He covered the sky and covered the earth as he suppressed Su Yan. Chop, chop, chop! Su Yan let out a long roar. His blood-dyed hair danced chaotically, and his palm turned into a 10,000-long blade. He chopped down again and again, and the heaven and earth collapsed, and the great stars in the sky trembled. The intense battle caused the heaven and earth to tremble. It was an exceptionally terrifying struggle for supremacy. Both sides had bloodshot eyes. The reincarnation blade radiance continuously corroded the golden creature. Similarly, this creature's corporeal body was too freakish. It continuously evolved the tyrannical power that bombarded Su Yan's corporeal body. Under the boundless pressure, Su Yan had really gone mad. It was as if he was in a world of destruction, and he was bearing the attack of 1,000,000 great stars. The bones in his body were breaking, and he was like a small boat that was experiencing the bombardment of a vast sea. He would face disintegration at any time. Roar! Su Yan let out a long roar, and his entire body emitted an invincible might. His body was like the universe, and it could create all things. It had to bear the weight of the heavens, and its strength could break through all methods. It also had to swallow the entire space-time and bury everything. Bury the heavens, bury the earth. Two large, indistinct symbols appeared in Su Yan's sea of consciousness. Su Yan felt that his body was boundless. He pointed one hand to the heavens and the other to the earth. He He was the sole ruler of the world. He seemed to have vaguely sensed the pulse of heaven and earth. It was very strange, and it was like a great treasure that was waiting for the people of the world to excavate and open. Boom! The golden creature pressed over again. Its fist imprint shone, and in an instant, it erupted with tens of thousands of fists, threatening Su Yan's life. Bury the heavens, bury the earth. Su Yan's precious appearance was dignified. He observed the 100 reincarnations, saw the universe flourish and wither, saw the great world wither and create all things. He spoke as if he was in a dream, burial of reincarnation. In an instant, Su Yan seemed to have achieved great enlightenment. His ancient constitution revolved, and the indistinct bury the heaven sea and the grand ancient land appeared behind him. They reflected each other's radiance, and the heaven and earth resonated. Endless treasures were opened in an instant. This was an extremely terrifying power that originated from heaven and earth, from the greater environment. It was as if it had transformed into a wonder. A heavenly master grasped the myriad Tao of heaven and earth. One method connected to 10,000 methods. Su Yan's instant enlightenment allowed him to grasp an inconceivable power. He opened up the treasures of heaven and earth, and the power that suddenly descended sent the golden creature flying. The golden creature flew out over 100 jong. Its eyes were red as it crawled back up. It wanted to fight to the death with Su Yan again. Who would have thought that just as it stood up, the heaven and earth trembled? Su Yan seemed to have transformed into an enormous life form that overlooked the boundless cosmos. The heaven-suppressing technique erupted violently, and it was shockingly much more powerful than before. The golden deity's body staggered, and even its knees felt a bit regretful. It really was almost directly suppressed by Su Yan. This was an extremely terrifying aura. It was terrifying beyond compare, and it squeezed the heaven and earth until they were split into pieces. Chi! Su Yan's pupils suddenly widened. A palm blade covered the sky, flourishing with terrifying brilliance. An enormous palm blade appeared between heaven and earth, and it was over 100,000 zhong long. He comprehended the profound mysteries of the physique and grasped the mysteries of the symbols left behind by Bury the Heavens. He unlocked the most primitive potential of his flesh, and from this, the secret technique Su Yan used also flourished. It had to be said that this was extremely shocking. Su Yan's gains from the battle with the golden creature were too great. In fact, this was also to be expected. During this period of time, Su Yan had continuously obtained great opportunities. Now that he encountered an unrivaled expert of his generation, it allowed Su Yan to master everything he learned through a comprehensive study. Do you admit defeat? Su Yan returned from his state. The heaven and earth had completely changed. He really was like a supreme emperor. His words were like the law, and the great Tao in the sky resonated with it. A terrifying might scatter down. You've already passed. The golden creature was a bit depressed. It really doubted whether or not it was a metallic life form. Instead, it was more like a living, intelligent creature. Being able to withstand 10 moves from me is already considered a victory. You have the qualifications to enter the Heavenly Elder's cave. 10 moves? Su Yan glared and said, "Why did you say that just now? This is the rule. Didn't you also obtain great benefits?" The golden creature glared at Su Yan. It was an unrivaled and indestructible creature, yet it never thought that it would be suppressed by Su Yan. It immediately felt annoyed. Is the Heavenly Elder inside? Su Yan's eyes gazed towards the ancient cave. The golden creature closed its eyes and opened up a path for Su Yan to enter. It seemed a bit unreasonable and wouldn't answer Su Yan's questions. The purpose of its existence was to test the seated contestants who could enter this place. It wouldn't respond to anything else. So boring. Su Yan shook his head. It was so difficult to encounter a living one, but its mouth was too tight. It wasn't willing to reveal anything. The corners of the golden creature's mouth twitched, and it clenched its fists. It almost couldn't restrain itself from launching a sneak attack on Su Yan. Su Yan glared at it. This made the golden creature a bit angry, but it was still abiding by the rules. It cast a sidelong glance at Su Yin with its golden eyes. Its meaning was, "Brat, behave yourself. Be careful that I don't unseal my greatest battle prowess. I can suppress you with a single finger." Su Yin smiled bitterly. He reckoned that this golden creature really had developed intelligence and will on its own. After all, no one had opened Burial Realm for millions and millions of years. A metallic creature had developed its own will, and it had the 7 emotions and 6 desires of flesh and blood. This was a miracle of life. It can't be a metallic life form from the Uncanny Crafts sect, right? Let's see if we can bring it away. This undying creature is at least a taboo elite. Perhaps it has the qualifications to fight against a celestial king. Su Yin said softly. Perhaps this golden creature possessed intelligence from the very beginning. He walked towards the indistinct cave. The moment he barged in, it was as if he had fallen into an archaic Tao rite. The scene before his eyes truly petrified him. In particular, the dormant, tin-colored precious blood in his body was boiling, reflecting the scene of emperors falling into depravity. Chapter 1907. Finally, he arrived at Bury the Heavens. Su Yin found it hard to calm down. Perhaps Bury the Heavens was the only place that could give him the answer to his identity and origin. But Su Yin felt that perhaps Bury the Heavens had really fallen. Otherwise, how could the tragedy of the human world be explained? Of course, there was another possibility. Like the ancient celestial emperors of the celestial court, he had left the 3 realms. But was this really possible? Or perhaps Bury the Heavens was afraid of the Xian people and the reincarnation emperor family, so they chose not to come out. But with the strength of the 3 realms seal, Bury the Heavens had no need to be afraid of the emperor family of the celestial world. Su Yin could only make wild guesses. Su Yin came to the cavern world. The light was a little dim, and he could barely feel the passage of time. Everything seemed to be still. Su Yin also felt that his life had stopped, and his heart had stopped beating. What was this? Su Yin was a little scared. He almost couldn't feel his own existence. It was as if he had disappeared and become one with the cavern world. Blood. Then Su Yin's eyes widened. Blood flowed in the dim world, one after another, as if the blood of the emperor was sprinkling. Blood stained the heavens, foretelling great fear and disaster. This was an ominous sign. It covered Su Yin's body and mind. He caught death. Corpses, Su Yin murmured. He was physically and mentally exhausted. In this bloody world, he felt especially powerless. In this bloody apocalyptic world, he saw corpses falling one after another. He didn't know where they came from. What is that? Su Yin felt a headache. It was as if something was happening outside the 3 realms. Terrible corpses were falling. Separated by the 3 realms, he couldn't see clearly. It was as if the emperors were falling. What did this mean? Su Yin's quiet body also began to emit light. The 10 great precious blood suddenly blazed and burned fiercely. His bloodline emitted an exceptionally terrifying aura. The 10-colored precious blood was too special, actually resonating with the emperor corpses in the sky. What did this mean? What did this mean? What is that? Outside the 3 realms? Su Yin's scalp went numb. The place where the corpses of the strongest beings fell was extremely similar to a 9-colored world of creation. It was also like the palace of the emperors. However, one day, a great calamity descended from the heavens, and the creation collapsed. Su Yin could also vaguely see huge and blurry coffins pressing down. Because of this, the emperors fell and their blood dyed the 3 realms. It was unknown what era this happened in. Su Yin was astonished. He felt that he had seen a terrifying secret because this was very likely a historical calamity that happened outside of the 3 realms, and it was extremely far away from the present time. Vaguely, Su Yin heard the sighs of the unmatched being transmitted into this world, rippling through Su Yin's heart. Who did this? Su Yin had a very outrageous guess. Who was the enemy? Could it be that it was not only a dark calamity, but an even more terrifying calamity was hidden? Su Yin tried his best to remain calm as he recalled the words of the mysterious skeleton. In an extremely distant and ancient era, The three realms coexisted in harmony with each other. There were no excessive wars. However, as time passed, everything changed. Could it be that all of this was caused by a calamity outside of the three realms that caused the three realms to fall into chaos? Su Yan's mind was shaken. He recalled some very important clues that could be linked together. The ancient celestial emperors of the celestial court went outside of the three realms. Could it be that they were investigating this matter? Could it be that they were going to deal with an unknown enemy? If there was really a hand that was affecting the three realms, then it was truly unimaginable how terrifying it was. What kind of difficulties would the ancient celestial emperors have to face? It was difficult for them to return for tens of millions of years. They most likely encountered a huge problem. Su Yan's mind was somewhat absent-minded. It was difficult for him to imagine that such a great calamity would actually be related to him. The bloodline in his body was very special. Could it be that he came from outside of the three realms? Who is Bury the Heavens? Why would such a scene appear in his cave? Is this a warning to the future generations? Could it be that Bury the Heavens is so ancient that it has to be traced back to outside of the three realms? Su Yan was puzzled. Was he simply a heavenly embryo born at the peak of the 33 layers of heaven? The emperors have fallen. The three realms will be destroyed. Suddenly, Su Yan heard these words. They were filled with despair. It was as if the invincible being had stopped resisting and had encountered some kind of desperate situation. These words fell into Su Yan's heart, but they were like divine thunder rumbling from the nine heavens. Su Yan was so shocked that he gasped for breath. All the hairs on his body stood on end. Su Yan breathed heavily. These words were too serious. If they were spread out, it would cause a terrifying chaos that would engulf the three realms. Was this a type of prophecy or something else? Su Yan roared, his eyes like lightning. No matter how great the pressure from the future was, he still shouldn't despair. He hadn't even seen the enemy yet, so why should he feel despair? You shouldn't despair. You should pull yourself together, Su Yan replied. Regardless of whether this was a prophecy or a true tragedy that the three realms would face in the future, Su Yan would choose to face it. He had the heart of a powerful expert. It grew in his bones, took root, sprouted, and would never be extinguished. How long? Heaven and earth resonated. The bloody scene that covered the sky scattered, completely destroyed. It disappeared. The scene of blood filling the sky disappeared. Su Yan's 10-colored precious blood gradually became still. Su Yan stood in an ancient Dao field. To be more precise, he was in the starry sky. There was a path in front of him. This path, to be precise, was a heavenly staircase. It was level after level, as if it led to outside of the three realms. Su Yan stepped on the heavenly staircase. This stone staircase was quite astonishing, as if it was refined from endless stars. It was immortal and indestructible, as if it could withstand the trampling of an immortal king. Su Yan's heart trembled slightly. He picked up a stone staircase and wanted to carry it away. It could be used as a brick to smash someone. This was a particularly astonishing treasure. Perhaps it was refined from the Bury the Heavens. There were at least millions of stone staircases here. Carrying one wouldn't be a big deal. However, Su Yan tried with all his strength, but he couldn't carry it away at all. Even if he used the power of the Heaven Burial Avatar, he couldn't take away a single stone staircase. Calm down. Su Yan took a deep breath. He had just learned of the terrifying event just now. Shouldn't he be silent? Su Yan really wasn't. He was like a person who buried all his emotions in his heart, no longer affected by all of this. He walked towards the staircase to heaven, one step after another. This path was too long. The scene at the end of the stone staircase couldn't be seen at all. This path was too long. He didn't know how long he had walked. He forgot about time, as if he was moving against the river of time. The stone staircase he walked on shone, flashing with special patterns and sputtering with the light of galaxies. Gradually, galaxies appeared wherever Su Yan passed. One after another, there were countless galaxies. This was an extremely shocking scene. It was as if an emperor was traveling along the stone staircase to reach the top. This was like the road to becoming an emperor. Su Yan didn't even notice it. He was emitting boundless power, causing the sky to tremble. It was as if the great stars of history had appeared and were vibrating with him. When a person was terrifying enough to affect the past, present, and future, overlooking the river of time and watching the most terrifying giant in history, he could be called an invincible person. Boom! Su Yan's divine power flourished. He felt as if he had walked for several years along the road to becoming an emperor. Suddenly, he had an illusion that he had stepped on the heavenly path and left the celestial world, walking out of the three realms. One after another, footprints appeared on the heavenly staircase. Su Yan ascended the heavens with billions of galaxies behind him. It was as if he had lit up a path to heaven that had been silent for a long time. Gradually, Su Yan saw the peak in a palace. It was like the residence of the emperors. There was actually the sound of scriptures being chanted. It was like immortal music, erratic and unclear. He didn't know what it was describing. Was there a living creature living at the peak of the nine heavens? Was it the secret palace where Bury the Heavens was located? Could it be that his cave was above the celestial world and located outside the three realms? Heaven beyond heaven, outside the world. The feeling of being far away from the celestial world became stronger and stronger. He didn't know what he would face next. The closer he got, the clearer the sound of scriptures became. This didn't sound like scriptures, but like an ancient language bombarding along the river of time. It was accompanied by the aura of opening the heavens, as if it was leading Su Yan's spirit back to the origin of time. What is this? Su Yan's spirit was roused. Where was he standing? Is this the treasure of opening the heavens? Su Yan's eyes looked at the palace. It was a huge stone palace. It was colorful and emitted terrifying space-time traces in the glory of time. It was hard to measure how long it had existed. It was filled with the aura of opening the world. The scriptures came from inside and were accompanied by waves of strange effects. He saw the nine heavens bleed and the world outside wither. The corpses of experts fell one after another. Su Yan was shocked. It was here. The scene of blood he saw when he first arrived at the cave had come from the palace. Soon, Su Yan determined that the scriptures coming from the palace were affecting Su Yan. He saw the ridiculous scene just now. Maybe there really was an invincible expert inside. At this moment, Su Yan reached the peak. The stone palace became bigger and bigger. Su Yan's figure seemed small and insignificant. Pong! He tried to push open the door, but it was very heavy. He pondered for a while. Then his silent aura suddenly awakened. The heaven-bearing fist was unparalleled in the world. Even the heaven and earth rumbled. It was as wild as a giant god of primal chaos born from the creation of the world. It filled the world. Open! Su Yan roared. His fist imprint shocked the world. It smashed into the palace door with a loud bang. The door opened with a rumble. The sound of scriptures became louder. It illuminated the world and turned it blood red. It was as if the day of the collapse of the three realms had arrived. It was even more cruel and serious than the apocalypse. One had to know that this was a scene of emperors falling into depravity and carnage. It was also like a real scene. It made one really want to sink into depravity and be buried in the palace. They would never be able to transcend. Wong. Su Yan's body shone. His constitution was very special and could not be affected. The sound of scriptures filled the sky. It was accompanied by a strange, bloody disaster. It formed a fiery red sea that swept through the nine heavens. This place could definitely be called a land of death. The sound of scriptures and the phenomena evolved into a true killing order. Those who touched it would die. Cough! Su Yan was coughing up blood. His body staggered, and he was about to fall. His mind was a little dazed. However, his body soon trembled violently. He held his breath and sealed his pores. He tried his best to open his eyes and look ahead. In the depths of the stone palace, a living being sat cross-legged. He could not see it clearly. He could not see what it looked like at all. He could see it clearly, but when it was transmitted to Su Yan's memories, everything became nothing. What kind of terrifying living being was this? Only a pair of eyes stared at Su Yan. At first, it was calm. However, the eyes gradually enlarged. They turned into a deep abyss that covered the ages. It wanted to bury Su Yan. All living beings are formless. The ancient and deep eyes turned into a deep abyss that spun and completely covered Su Yin. Vaguely, he saw a clear figure emerge from the crumbling heaven and earth. His bleeding and tattered chest emitted a weak wave of heaven opening. Today is a great day. Chapter 1908. Boom! The weak aura of opening the heavens reverberated in Su Yan's ears. It was grand and matchless, accompanied by the vast aura of opening the heavens. The heaven and earth trembled. The influence of the scriptures was too great, as if tracing back to the origin of all life. Torrents poured down one after another, engulfing the long river of time and transmitting to this world. It was so dazzling that one's eyes were about to bleed. This was an indescribable energy, containing great power and great wisdom. It was as if the three realms were shaken, making Su Yin lose all resistance and want to prostrate in worship. Su Yin felt his blood run cold. What kind of world had he arrived in? Was it within the eyes of this supreme existence? Su Yan's expression was somewhat absent-minded. Moreover, in this bizarre world, there was this existence. He was dyed in blood, tattered, and draped in a dragon robe as he sat cross-legged in the void. It was unknown how many years he had been sitting here. His entire body was in tatters, emitting an extremely ancient pressure. It was unknown just how powerful he was. How long? His blood-stained and tattered chest was blazing, and it was filled with a weak fluctuation of opening the heavens. It invaded Su Yan's spiritual sea and was enough to comprehend the majesty that crossed time and space. It came over in a mighty manner and outlined a blurry figure. What kind of power is this? Su Yan was astonished. Just a few weak fluctuations transmitted from his chest formed an irresistible majesty. Was this an unrivaled being, or was it bury the heavens? He felt that this was much more terrifying than the titled Emperor powerhouse suppressed by the burial sea. Could it be that there was a power in this world that surpassed an emperor's? The end of cultivation wasn't the three great realms? How long? Suddenly, the vague figure shone, scattering down waves of words, one after another, shaking heaven and earth. It was a familiar scene. Trillions of creatures appeared, loudly calling out the emperor, prostrating themselves in worship, transmitting a matchless heavenly might that transcended the past and present. From a human to an emperor, a matchless heavenly might exploded. There was an incomparable order of power blossoming from the vague figure's body, rumbling. Titled Emperor? Titled Emperor? Su Yan's mood suddenly became heavy. Who was it that was conferring titles to them? This emperor was not the emperor of the cultivation realm as defined by the immortal world. It was the supreme emperor, the emperor of emperors. The vast scripture characters were like the vast sea of the cosmos. The colors were beautiful as they flashed in Su Yan's mind. Every word was like a clap of thunder. Without a doubt, this was an earth-shattering heavenly art. It was the strongest scripture in the human world in the past, the mortal emperor's scripture. But was this really a scripture? Similar to compared to the heaven-opening thunder scripture, which was like a world-shaking great divine ability, the human sovereign scripture was even more special and mysterious. Words filled the sky and appeared, allowing Su Yin to see the whole picture. His mind was stirred up because this was a great opportunity. He had come into contact with the human realm's most powerful treasure, the mortal emperor scripture. However, Su Yin was a little confused. What kind of existence was this creature sitting in front of him? He seemed to have died a long time ago. His tattered body was draped in a dragon robe. This dragon robe was quite special as well. It was embroidered with 9 true dragons of different colors. The 9 dragons robe was something that only those with an absolutely transcendent and divine status were qualified to wear. Ordinary people would not be able to afford it. Is he the bury the heavens? Su Yin thought to himself. He felt that this was a creature born in the epic of creation. The more he guessed, the more his head hurt. He didn't dare to make wild guesses because he felt that this person was still alive. If he were to blaspheme or disrespect him, it would definitely lead to a fatal disaster. Forget it, I'll comprehend this scripture now. Su Yin was immersed in the vast scripture characters. This was a vast and profound scripture that carried the supreme mysteries of order. In the instant he read and observed it, Su Yin came into contact with a brand new path. The path of life, evolution, Su Yin whispered. His physique was powerful and almost invincible among his peers. However, when he read the human sovereign scripture, he discovered that he was petty, insignificant, and insignificant. Was this the difference in the essence of life? In short, this was an extremely ancient and special scripture that explained the meaning of life. The changes in the human body were endless and profound. It was equivalent to the evolution of life in the universe. The profound meaning involved was too vast. Su Yin was intoxicated as he read. He was immersed in the sea of scriptures and couldn't extricate himself from the human sovereign's great Tao. I wonder what Su Yin will get. The mysterious skeleton whispered. It had doubts about the identity of Barry the Heavens. In fact, the mysterious skeleton only wanted to watch Su Yin and the others grow up and watch Bao Kai and the others rise. Each of them carried the strongest inheritance in the human world and became indomitable experts in the future. Will Su Yin participate in the great immortal demon war? On the third battlefield, East Demon couldn't calm down as he looked at the challenge letter issued by the Dark World. On the challenge letter, the names of outstanding geniuses were engraved one after another. They were like princesses and immortals. They had existed for a long time and hadn't participated in the great immortal demon war for many years. Now, the Dark World had written down the names of these people. East Demon saw Su Yin on it. Back in the human world's outer realm battlefield, Su Yin killed the Tao body of a dark beast from the Dark World. East Demon didn't expect that matter to have such a big impact. This was enough to show that the dark beast that fought with Su Yin back then had a very high status in the Dark World. The immortal world was in an uproar. This battle had caused too much of a commotion. In the 10 battlefields, the challenge letter fluttered and surged. It carried the killing intent of the younger generation of the Dark World and suppressed the immortal world. This was the power of the Dark World, shaking the immortal world. What does the Dark World mean? They're too arrogant. They called out over 100 names, all of which are the most glorious war god seeds of our world. What do they want? Many prosperous ancient cities were discussing this, and the imperial city was no exception. The challenge letter caused a huge uproar. After all, some geniuses who hadn't shown their faces for several eras had been pointed out. They all had blood debts with the Dark World. This time, the Dark World directly issued a challenge. This was enough to show the seriousness of the situation. Although the immortal world had lost more battles in the past, some people were worthy of respect. They had turned the tide at the critical moment. The Heavenly Dragon Lady and the others all had blood debts on their hands. The geniuses of the Dark World had no choice but to accept this kind of person. When the immortal demon war started in the past, they were all on high alert against people like the Dark World's Empress. But now, all of them were called out. One could imagine the confidence of the Dark World. Could it be that this world had given birth to a peerless existence of the same generation? Or could it be that the son of the ancestor god had awakened his bloodline? The Dark World is too arrogant. They even made a list. They are all reputable geniuses of the world. Most of them have killed the overlords of the Dark World. What qualifications do they have to make a challenge letter? That's right. Even the young emperor has stepped into the immortal king realm. The Dark World shouldn't be unaware. This is completely provoking the entire immortal world. Someone shouted angrily. That's not right. What's the background of this, Su Yin? Someone was especially astonished. In the distant past, it was said that the Heavenly Force King and the others had shaken the world. Their reputations had spread through many eras of the universe. They were all role models for the younger generation. In the recent past, there were also the Heavenly Martial King and the others who had risen to power. Their divine might was extremely shocking. They were all top-notch experts. Any one of them could be deployed to hold the fort. But who was Su Yin? He didn't have a title. but he was listed on the list? This was very shocking. Su Yin? Could it be the human realm expert who defeated the heavenly astral king in the king's city? Someone suddenly cried out in surprise. Heavens equals Saint King? How could it be? Could it be that he had exchanged blows with the experts of the Dark World? Otherwise, how would the experts of the Dark World know his name? Many people didn't understand Su Yan's background, but the matter of him defeating a heavenly king wasn't a small matter. It caused a heated discussion. Su Yan's identity was also dug out. They were all very shocked. He had actually killed the younger brother of the Tenrai of Beach. This person had even rejected the invitation of the Immortal Cave. Many people were in disarray. This brat was so arrogant. Where did he come from? Ridiculous. What kind of gold is this list? Quantity? Even if Su Yin defeated the heavenly astral king, he didn't participate in the immortal demon battlefield. What qualifications does he have to be listed on the list? Some Xian people were angry and questioned. This was because they regarded the contestants on the list issued by the Dark World as a symbol of glory. But what was Su Yin on the list? It was completely like a chicken falling into a flock of phoenixes. One had to know that people like the Empress had killed the peerless geniuses of the Dark World. Each of them was extremely majestic. Su Yin had only defeated the heavenly astral king. He didn't have the qualifications to be listed on the list at all. It's a little strange. How can someone who didn't even participate in the immortal demon battlefield be listed on the list? Someone shook his head and sneered. Is the intelligence department of the Dark World useless? Even the Tenrai of Beach of the Immortal Cave isn't on the list. What a joke. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. How can Su Yin be on the same level as the Tenrai of Beach? What qualifications does he have to be listed on the list? If he can't go, then go. It's good that he dies there. An expert of the starry sky, Emperor Race, stood out and said maliciously, "This brat is too arrogant. Our heavenly astral king only sparred with him, but he killed him just like that. He's too fierce. He even rejected the invitation of the Immortal Cave. He's too arrogant, impudent." An expert of the older generation with a terrifying aura rebuked. The heavenly monkey king has spoken. Who dares to question him? Some people's hearts trembled. The expert of the starry sky, Emperor Race, who spoke, shrunk his neck and didn't dare to speak nonsense. Also, what do you mean it's good that he dies there? I believe that since Su Yin is on the list, it's enough to prove that he has a blood debt of the Dark World on his hands. The old expert's face darkened as he rebuked angrily. The immortal demon Great War is a struggle between the immortal world and the Dark World. It concerns the honor of our world's strongest. How can you talk about it so casually? The expert of the starry sky, Emperor Race, smiled bitterly. He was just speaking casually. He didn't expect to be rebuked by such an upright expert. That's right. Su Yin didn't have the qualifications to participate. After all, no matter what influence or factor, they couldn't disturb the arrangement of the immortal demon Great War. They had to ensure that in extremely powerful war, God participated. The immortal world was in turmoil. The Immortal Elder Academy was already preparing for a major meeting. This time, it was no small matter. The Dark World came aggressively. After all, the immortal demon Great War was a major event. Everything was for the honor of the immortal world. At this stage, the selection of candidates was a big headache. It was already extremely close to the time when the immortal demon Great War would begin. I propose that we open the world's #1 mountain and give the world's geniuses some opportunities. An immortal elder raised a question, causing a commotion among the higher levels of the Immortal Elder Academy. Heated discussions were endless. Even the immortal kings found it hard to make a decision. The world's #1 mountain. Since ancient times, those who climbed to the top were few and far between. Someone noticed that the one who raised the question was the Tenrai of Beach's bloodline, and immediately understood. The Tenrai of Beach's name wasn't on the letter of challenge. It was most likely that this bloodline had long been furious, and Su Yin, who had blasted apart Little Thunder, was on the letter of challenge. After all, the Tenrai of Beach didn't participate in the immortal demon Great War, so it wasn't strange that the Dark World didn't know his name. However, here came the problem. If the Tenrai of Beach ascended to the top, then it really would be a major event that would shake the entire immortal world. After all, in the past, only matchless heroes had the qualifications to stand at the top and overlook the world. They were fully deserving of being unrivaled in their generation. In the ancient realm near the burial realm, a few Xian people who were secretly waiting sighed. So many years had passed, but Su Yin still hadn't appeared. Xian Qing and the others had died in the third realm. They had originally harbored hope and waited for Su Yan's arrival, but in the end, they were thoroughly disappointed. However, what they didn't know was that from leaving the capital to entering the burial realm, only a few days had passed. They didn't have much time to plan. In the third realm, the Emperor's repository Dao Cave. In the land of hidden dragon soaring abyss, one after another, the peaks of the creation mountains surged with abnormally majestic vitality. Bao Kai and the others had all finished climbing the mountain. They absorbed the most precious wealth of the human world and became inheritors. Day after day, year after year. Chapter 3, Begging for Monthly Votes. Chapter 1909. At the peak of the path to heaven, within a grand stone hall. Here, a sea of vitality gradually appeared. A terrifying life aura violently surged, as if a condensed universe was expanding, suddenly becoming a great deal more terrifying. In an instant, the figure sitting in the sea of scriptures emitted a boundless and vast life force, covering the world. His blood energy was vast and mighty, causing the world to tremble. Su Yin seemed to be evolving, about to turn into a terrifying life form, about to transform into an invincible human emperor. The world blurred, as if it was beneath his feet. This was an incomparable divine might leaking out, a will that revered the world. As he chanted sutras, a great figure appeared behind him, overlooking the boundless starry skies, stepping on the world. From this moment on, Su Yan's tightly shut eyes opened. His body was covered in resplendent runes. In the instant they flowed out, his royal might was unrivaled, commanding the world. "Ah!" Su Yan shouted out. His words were like the laws of the world, filling the skies with the order of the Tao. Auspicious multicolored light filled the world, the process shocking. Heaven and earth fused together, becoming one, turning into a figure. It was like Su Yan's future self, possessing an irresistible imperial might. He was more like an emperor than an emperor. The current Su Yan was only a seventh heavenly layer Daesong. Su Yan stood up. He felt like he could smash apart the vault of heaven with a raise of his hand. This was a terrifying confidence. His Tao had climbed too high, already reaching the peak domain, unable to advance any further. This proved that Su Yan's current state of growth was that his understanding of the great Tao of heaven and earth had already reached the peak domain. In these years, although he had only settled down in the Emperor Repository Dao Cave for less than 10 years, the things he had harvested were unimaginable. Thank you, Senior, for bestowing me with the Tao. Although Junior does not know Senior's name, Junior will never forget Senior's great kindness. Su Yin bowed deeply towards the life form in front of him. This was a miraculous journey. Su Yan's harvests were great. Although he didn't know who this life form in front of him was, he constantly emitted the flame of inheritance. He didn't wish for his inheritance to be severed. After several years of settling down, I've reached the pinnacle of the great path. It's time to leave. Su Yin was not reluctant to leave. Even if there was still the path of creation and other training grounds, Su Yin would not choose to explore them. His growth had reached the peak, and his conviction was extraordinary. He took a step forward and left the stone palace. A beam of light flashed in front of his eyes, and Su Yin stood outside the blurry cave. He's out. The golden creature was still guarding this place. His golden pupils stared at Su Yin without blinking for even a moment. Because he had just left the pass, divine force leaked out, accompanied by the chanting of the mortal emperor's scripture, as well as the supreme emperor's heavenly might, leaving the golden creature astonished. "You have the human emperor's scripture." His expression was serious. At this moment, the human realm's most powerful heavenly art, Su Yin had unexpectedly cultivated it, and it had only been a few years of time. This made the golden creature extremely shocked. It seemed like Heavenly Elder had another disciple. Su Yin looked at him and calmly said, "How long have you been here? Do you want to leave?" "Leave?" The golden creature looked at Su Yin with vigilance and said, "What do you want to do?" "Yes, leave. There's no reason for you to stay here." Su Yin nodded and said, "This land of inheritance is about to close. It's a waste of your strength for you to stay here. Are you ordering me?" The golden creature glared at him and said, "Don't think that you have the right to order me around just because you have the human emperor's scripture." Su Yan's heart was moved. He smiled brilliantly and said, "So what if I'm ordering you? You should know that I have the human emperor's scripture. At the same time, I'm also the 33rd generation disciple of the heaven-burying grotto." "Haha, don't be so insolent, brat. Why don't you make up a better lie?" The golden creature said with disdain, "Don't think that I don't know. Master said that the 33rd generation disciples will not come into being in this era of the universe. Don't lie to me." "Why? Do you know a lot about the 33rd generation disciples?" Su Yin asked. "What right do you have to question my identity?" The golden creature didn't say anything, but he still cast a sidelong glance at Su Yin. It meant that he didn't believe that Su Yin was a 33rd generation disciple at all. An era of the universe. Su Yin sighed. It seemed that once the burial realm was sealed, this world would be sealed as well. He didn't know that millions of years had passed in the outside world. "I'll let you see the burial cave, and you'll believe my identity." Su Yin spoke again. This was a powerful super expert. It would be a pity to leave him here. "Don't try to trick me. The burial cave is in the human world. How can you have it? Brat, I think you're itching for a beating. If you want me to help you loosen your muscles, just say it." The golden creature was a bit manic. How could Su Yin control the burial cave? This was the world of the most valuable treasures of the heavens. Su Yin was surprised. It turned out that the burial cave could lead to the secret world of the heavens. Those who had achievements in the Mountain of Fortune in the past could go to the secret world of the heavens through the mountain. How powerful would it take to do that? Could there be a path to the human world in this world? Su Yin promised again and again that he really brought the burial cave here. The golden creature still didn't believe him. Su Yin finally put on a serious face and shouted, "You blockhead, come with me immediately. I'm now ordering you as the master of the burial cave." The golden creature bared his teeth, but he still obeyed the order. If Su Yin was really a disciple of the heavens, he was qualified to order him. "Brat, you win. I'll go with you. If I can't see the burial cave, I'll teach you a lesson." The golden creature picked his ears and was willing to follow Su Yin out of the mountain gate. Su Yin was in a good mood and asked what his name was. "Big Goldie." The golden creature tidied up his clothes and announced his name. He looked solemn. Su Yin almost laughed. "Big Goldie? What are you laughing at? Don't blame me for falling out with you." Big Goldie's face suddenly collapsed. His whole body was blazing with divine light, as if he was made of gold. Although he was a metal creature, his intelligence was too high-end. The two bickered along the way. Su Yin beat around the bush to learn more. However, Big Goldie had been guarding here and hadn't left at all. This made Su Yin feel a little helpless. They followed the mysterious path back to the land of the hidden dragon soaring abyss. Big Goldie was surprised. He thought he had come to the human world, but why were there so many Mountain of Fortune missing? He looked around and didn't see any familiar powerhouses. He furrowed his brows. What had happened? Bamboo Moon and Zhixiao Fairy had been out for several months. They were particularly surprised by the Golden Man beside Su Yin. What was his background? Golden Dipper Mother Material. The mysterious skeleton's blurry figure appeared, scaring Big Goldie. He stared at the mysterious skeleton with his golden eyes. He felt that the fleeting figure in front of him was an extremely terrifying creature. "Not bad, not bad." The mysterious skeleton nodded. This creature was truly unparalleled in the world. Its body was indestructible, and even immortal kings couldn't destroy it. After all, Golden Dipper Mother material was one of the best materials to forge great killing weapons. Even Emperor-level powerhouses coveted it. "Restrain yourself. Don't let others think about it." Su Yin patted Big Goldie's shoulder. This made Big Goldie especially vigilant. He was full of treasures. If he was captured alive and dissected by the old monster, his fate would be extremely miserable. Just thinking about it made Big Goldie shiver. Big Goldie restrained the divine power in his body. His golden skin quickly dimmed, turning into the same skin color as Su Yin. Only his eyes were still golden. Roar! 3 days later, a creation mountain rumbled violently. At the peak of the 1,000,000-foot-tall mountain, a huge beast shadow soared. When it raised its head and roared, the sputtering divine power transformed into an azure dragon that traversed the heavens. In an instant, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The azure dragon seemed to have transformed into an immortal phoenix. When it spread its wings, it was about to split the 9 heavens. Then, the immortal phoenix transformed into a brilliant rain of light, and then into a white tiger. Its roar shook the sun, moon, and stars. Inheritors of the beast god bloodline are really rare. Big Goldie commented. It had met an inheritor of the beast god bloodline before. Their combat strength was unparalleled, and they were known as the bloodline of fierce generals in the human world. Each of them had boundless strength and were relatively powerful and brave. Baokai seemed to have transformed into 10,000 beasts. Its aura became more and more violent. The figures of 10,000 beasts danced in the sky. Moreover, they were about to converge into one and transform into an invincible beast god that reigned supreme. Roar, roar! Baokai cried out excitedly. Its 4 hooves galloped over proudly. Baokai came up to Su Yin and gave Su Yin a claw. In the end, Su Yan's divine strength surged. Heaven! Once the order of heaven and earth resonated, the pressure caused Baocai's big claw to tremble violently. Suddenly, the power of 10,000 beasts soared into the sky, but it was still extremely difficult to suppress Su Yan's suppressive power. It came up to give Su Yin a show of strength, but in the end, it suffered a great loss. Fairy Zixia ruthlessly attacked. Su Yin was full of smiles. However, Baocai's improvement was too great. Just now, he had used almost all of his strength. It was enough to conclude that Baokai was fiercer and stronger than the heavenly astral king. Too weak, this won't do. Big Goldie's expression was cold. He boasted that he was a fighting master of his generation. He wanted to comment on anyone he saw. As if he was mocking Baokai, he said, "It'll be about the same if you cultivate for another 500 years. Kid, who are you talking about?" Baocai's nose was crooked. It shouted, "Who are you? Why are your eyes golden? Could it be that Baby Long Day Song has transformed?" After saying that, Baokai stretched out its big claw, wanting to give Big Goldie a show of strength and regain its dignity. Unexpectedly, Big Goldie waved his big hand and hit Baokai with earth-shattering force. "Show mercy," Su Yin hurriedly shouted. Big Goldie's palm was blazing. He paused for a moment, clenched his 5 fingers into a fist, and revealed an evil smile on his face. He stretched out a little finger and pointed at Baokai, using a finger to suppress it. "My land of inheritance." Baokai was so angry that it couldn't speak clearly. Who was this kid looking down on? However, the pressure from Big Goldie's finger was like the weight of 1,000,000 mountains. It was terrifying to the extreme and caused Baokai to tremble. His fleshly body felt like it was about to shatter, and he fell to the ground, trembling. Su Yan's face darkened. Big Goldie's attack was too heavy. This guy's casual attack was not something that Su Yin could withstand, let alone tie Baokai. What the hell? You guy with eyes like golden lanterns isn't Long Day Song at all. Where did you come from? After a long while, Baokai gradually came back to its senses. It jumped up high. It was almost stabbed to death by a finger just now. It yelled angrily and said that Su Yin and the others were not honest and wouldn't help it. Bamboo Moon wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and observed a moment of silence for Baokai. Big Goldie walked over with a murderous aura and punched without saying a word. Baokai screamed in fright and turned to run. He even called for Su Yin to quickly come and protect him. What the hell is this? Baokai was being beaten up. It was giving advice to Baokai as it was being beaten, Its old habits were acting up again. I was wrong. Stop hitting me. Bautsai's nostrils were bleeding. It was being beaten up so badly that it couldn't even get up. The strongest power of the beast god path. It's very powerful, right? Su Yin asked. The mysterious skeleton nodded. Baokai was still not mature enough, mainly because its realm was not enough. It was only at Daesong level 3 perfection. However, Baokai had been completely molded by the creation mountain. It had a high chance of walking on the path of the strongest beast god in the future. Boom! Another 10 days passed. On the peak of a 5-colored creation mountain, layers of ancient ferocious aura were awakened. Little Mu Xian has broken through to the Emperor realm. Su Yin and the others were pleasantly surprised. Mu Xian had become an Emperor realm. An ancient phenomenon was born on the peak of the mountain. After all, it was an immortal phoenix who was breaking through and attracted a vast calamity. Chi. After an entire day and night, at the final moment, a pair of huge and terrifying wings soared into the sky and tore the entire sea of lightning apart. It was as terrifying as the clouds in the sky. The moment it flapped, the world trembled. There was a vague aura of an immortal king. The remains of an immortal king. Baokai was in a bruised and swollen state all day. It cried out in surprise. It's the remains of the Phoenix King. It was actually refined into a pair of wings for Mu Xian. Su Yin sighed in admiration. The Phoenix King was so bold. A pair of wings faintly flowed with the aura of an immortal king. Without a doubt, this was a supreme treasure. The huge wings triggered a tide of energy, and raging waves beat the heavens. It could perfectly merge with Mu Xian. Once it spread its wings, it would be quite amazing. It would have the confidence to attack a taboo. No one can be handsome in front of a combat master. Big Goldie rushed to the peak of the Phoenix Mountain and gave it a good beating with his fists. Su Yin and the others' faces fell. They didn't expect Big Goldie to have protective feelings for the fair sex. 4th update. Today there are 5 chapters, so there should be 6 chapters. Chapter 1910. Mu Xian and Bautsai's faces were bruised and swollen, but they didn't make a sound. Bamboo Moon and Fairy Zixia had broken through before, so they escaped Big Goldie's beating. After all, this was a trial knife aimed at the top figures of the younger generation in Heaven Burial Cave. He had seen countless geniuses over the years, and he boasted that he was a fighting master of his generation, enough to measure the strength of the younger generation. He could find out the shortcomings and flaws of any outstanding person who had been beaten by him, and it would be of great help to their future growth. Big Goldie crossed his arms and stood proudly. He was only afraid in front of the mysterious skeleton. Su Yin suspected that Big Goldie's battle prowess seemed to be able to compete with the Celestial King. Su Yin had already asked the mysterious skeleton about the Golden Dipper Mother material. This was a rare treasure material, and even a gram of it was extremely precious. Celestial kings would fight for it. After all, the Golden Dipper Mother material contained shocking heavenly power, and it could be used to forge a super killing weapon. It was hard to imagine how much Golden Dipper Mother material was used to forge Big Goldie. This guy was full of treasures. Even though he hid his body functions, old monsters could still see through him. In the end, Su Yin decided to let Big Goldie take control of the Xian people's Celestial King battle flag to hide his body's abnormalities and prevent his identity from being exposed. This fella was a human-shaped treasure trove. Even the Emperor clans would frantically take action, suppressing and tearing apart Big Goldie's corpse, refining it into supreme treasures that were hard to find in the world one after another. In the future, they all had the qualifications to evolve into immortal king weapons. Brother Gold, Long Daesong doesn't look like he'll come out of seclusion anytime soon. They waited for another half a month, and Baokai asked Big Goldie with a face full of smiles. This was a super fighter, so he had to have a good relationship with him. He served him tea all day long. It looks like he won't. Big Goldie shook his head and said softly, "The creature sleeping on the peak of Dragon Mountain is extraordinary. Its potential is too great. It absorbs and refines 50,000 kilograms of celestial material day and night. It looks like it'll take at least several years for it to completely awaken. Su Yin frowned. The great war between immortals and demons was about to begin. He had to make a trip to the Emperor's city and witness the prodigies and overlords of the world. He took out several tens of thousands of kilograms of immortal source and gave it to Long Daesong, just in case the foundation needed for Long Daesong's evolution was insufficient. At the same time, he asked, "If we leave, how will Daesong leave alone?" "Don't worry. I can give him a command medallion that can be used to leave the sect." Goldie took out a golden token, which made Bao Cai's eyes widen. This token was also made from the Golden Dipper's material. Bao Cai walked over with a face full of smiles. Before it could speak, Big Goldie had already seen through Bao Cai's thoughts. He moved his body slightly, and the terrifying power in his body overflowed. Bao Cai shuddered. He didn't even dare to fart and obediently retreated. "Looks like we have to leave early." Su Yin took out a jade slip and left some words for Long Daesong. He asked Big Goldie to send it to the peak of Dragon Mountain. After doing all this, they left. Big Goldie had a lot on his mind along the way. There was no familiar face in the vast burial realm. Could it be that it was as Su Yin had said, that the human world had been destroyed and Burial Cave had disintegrated? Roar! In the third layer of the seal, Big Goldie trembled. He knelt on the ground and let out a huge roar. Huge waves surged on the surface of the sea, and the creation law rumbled. The roar was terrifying. It was about to tear apart the river of time. Explosions reverberated one after another. Huge waves surged on the Emperor's Sea, and the sound of tsunamis erupted. The energy ripples were too grand, surging and boiling. Big Goldie's eyes were brimming with tears. In the end, he let out a hysterical roar like a wild beast. Although he was a metal creature, he still had emotions and desires. Su Yin and the others sighed. They didn't know how to comfort him. They hadn't lived in Burial Cave, and they didn't even understand the past of the human world. It was difficult for them to understand Big Goldie's feelings. The dilapidated Burial Cave floated between heaven and earth. It was connected to 33 layers of heaven. After several years of nourishment, Burial Cave had recovered a lot. It flowed with terrifying light, and the suppressive power of the 33 layers of heaven sprinkled down. This was Burial Cave. Big Goldie couldn't be wrong, but it was broken. Who? Who did it? Who? Big Goldie's hair danced in the wind. His flesh and blood turned into a golden color. He was full of supreme power, shaking heaven and earth. He was like a golden immortal king. Killing intent surged in his eyes, and he wanted revenge. "Big Goldie, you have calmed down now," Su Yin said in a low voice. "Save your strength and wait for the right time." "I can't calm down." Big Goldie's eyes were blood red, and his roar made the heaven and earth tremble. His heart was filled with grief. The heaven-burying grotto had been destroyed, and this matter was too disastrous for him. He cried loudly, "Who did this? Tell me, I'm going to destroy them." "You have to calm down even if you can't." Su Yin raised his hand and took control of the sky-burying cave. He looked like the great Emperor Zhang Tian, who was at the 33rd layer of heaven. He angrily rebuked, "Old man Zhang Tian gave me the sky-burying cave and told us to wait for his return so that we can take revenge in the future." "Heaven's Elder," Big Goldie growled. In his world, Sky Elder was the symbol of invincibility. The sky-burying cave that he refined was also very intimidating to Big Goldie. He clenched his fist and growled, "Sky Elder will come back. He definitely will." "Big Goldie," Heaven's Elder said to wait for the right time. "You can't mess up the situation and ruin it. You have to listen to Su Yan's arrangement. Otherwise, you will ruin Heaven's Elder's plan." "Yes, Big Goldie. Although Burial Cave is broken, a large number of experts are hibernating, waiting for Heaven's Elder's call. They will all return." Bao Cai and the others walked over to talk. Big Goldie's mood gradually calmed down, but his face was still full of sadness. This matter was too big for him to accept in a short time. Wong. Su Yin once again threw buried Heaven Grotto back into the Emperor's Sea. It needed to be repaired all year round before it could gradually recover. Suyin did not plan on taking Buried Heaven Grotto away for the time being. Leaving it here was the best choice for now. The group followed the path back and gradually went far away. The immortal world was not peaceful now. The Dark World's declaration of war had a great impact. A series of experts from Immortal Cave came out of seclusion and invited to participate in the great war of immortals and demons. Even some ancient emperor clans from all over the immortal world came out. Their clans also had seeds that had been hibernating for a long time and could participate in this great war of immortals and demons. Big news. The immortal world was shaken. The billions of ancient worlds were in an uproar. The Emperor's city sent the news, so it was naturally very urgent. In a short time, it could shake up all parts of the immortal world. It was equivalent to announcing it to the world. The world's #1 mountain is about to open. This was a big event that shocked the world. Some experts from ancient lands came out of their sections. It seemed that this great war of immortals and demons was no small matter. The immortal world was also serious. This time, not only would a group of the most powerful seeds come out of Immortal Cave, it would also give the people of the world a chance. The world's #1 mountain hasn't opened for tens of millions of years. I never thought that the world's #1 mountain would open in this battle. Tens of thousands of sects were shaken. This was but the immortal world's most powerful mountain. It was rumored that it had been born since the beginning of the world. It was unimaginably majestic. It was rumored that this mountain's existence was enough to accompany the immortal world's origin. The world's #1 mountain is about to open. In the ancestral court of an ancient emperor clan's origin, a terrifying will exploded. My clan's war god seed should come out of seclusion and reappear my clan's might, dominating #1, looking down on the past and present. Barbaric war god, unmatched. This ancient emperor clan's inheritance resounded with the roars of the clansmen. A terrifying war god seed was awakened from his slumber, wanting him to fight for hegemony under the heavens. The first mountain has opened. Ascending to the peak can be bestowed with the title of matchless genius. My clan has matchless men who can ascend to the peak and look down on the world. There were also clans' ancestral lands that rumbled. The ancestral court issued the highest decree to seize the #1 position. It had to be said that the appearance of the first mountain startled the immortal world's great ancient clans. Every clan's hidden heavenly geniuses came out of seclusion one after another. The immortal world was in heated discussion. The news came too suddenly, rumored to be brought up by a certain giant from Immortal Elder Academy. It was directly passed through. After all, opening the world's #1 mountain required endless heavenly treasures. It wasn't a joke. There was a legend that once one ascended to the peak of the world's #1 mountain, they would be fully deserving of the title of matchless genius, unmatched in their generation. Within the Immortal Cave, there were quite a few mountains that had accumulated for a long time. The heavenly geniuses had all ascended the first mountain before. It was to the extent where the first mountain's ascension had strict conditions. Everyone only had one chance, so if they missed it, then they missed it. What did this mean? Needless to say, this was a chance to ascend to the peak of the younger generation. It also contained powerful opportunities. Moreover, the world's #1 mountain was closely related to the Immortal Cave. As long as one could reach the peak, they would receive endless generous rewards from the Immortal Cave. Every time it opened, endless geniuses from the immortal world's millions and millions of ancient realms would flock over. It was the same as a selection of the strongest. At the same time, one could imagine just how many heavenly treasures were needed to maintain the operation of the world's #1 mountain. This was an enormous burden even for the immortal world. That was why it was only opened once every 30 million years. The Immortal Cave's core region was also in heated discussion. Many core heavenly geniuses were preparing to participate in the first mountain selection. Rumor has it that the first place has been decided behind closed doors. Someone said in a low voice, immediately triggering mockery. The first mountain needed strength to ascend. Who had the qualifications to be decided behind closed doors? The one who spoke did not say much. He had obtained some inside information. The immortal elder who suggested opening the world's #1 mountain ahead of time came from the Tenrai of Beek's bloodline. A long time ago, rumors had been circulating within the immortal cave that the Tenrai of Beek had an unrivaled background. Now, that it was opened at this critical juncture, it was the same as creating a deity. He stood out from millions and millions of experts and stood at the top. In addition, the Immortal Elder Academy also suggested that the top 3 could directly obtain a spot to participate in the Immortal Devil Great War. One could imagine just how great the value of the first mountain was. The immortal world was in turmoil. The most powerful selection was about to begin. In the Burial Realm's danger zone, a pitch-black great crack suddenly tore apart, extending from the inside of Burial Realm to the outside world. In that instant, the old emperor who was bitterly waiting here trembled, goosebumps rising all over his body. He felt fear, but also excitement, almost roaring out. What did he see? Someone came out from Burial Realm? Coming out from the danger zone, this was tremendous news. Once it spread, it wouldn't be much weaker than the opening of the world's #1 mountain. Was it Su Yan's group? This old emperor who came from the reincarnation Imperial clan roared in excitement. If it really was, this matter was too great. He didn't expect to run into it himself. After all, outside Burial Realm, there were over 100 ancient worlds surrounding it. There were also over 100 passages. He didn't expect to run into it himself. He didn't even have the slightest bit of hesitation, crushing the communication talisman. This was the communication talisman of the reincarnation Imperial clan. Once it was crushed, it emitted a strange fluctuation that was enough to spread throughout the 10,000 ancient worlds. Only the experts of the reincarnation Imperial clan could sense it. One had to know that a group of important figures of the reincarnation Imperial clan were waiting for the Mind King to come out. In less than half an hour, a large number of experts of the reincarnation Imperial clan would arrive here and capture Su Yan's group alive. Su Yan is just a day song. Maybe I can capture him alive alone. The old emperor laughed excitedly. He had already peeked into the great crack, and the leader was Su Yan. Boom! He instantly reached out a large hand, and the order of the great Tao filled the sky. His Dharma idol true body erupted, covering the entire void, suppressing Su Yan. Su Yan didn't expect to run into the old emperor's attack as soon as he came out. Su Yan's expression was calm. His eyes instantly locked onto the old emperor who was hiding in the dark. He punched out, melting the void, and the order of the Dharma idol true body in the sky. It was completely obliterated by an absolutely terrifying power. What? The old emperor shouted. This was a Daesung? He had obliterated the Dharma idol true body of the heavens and earth. He was simply an invincible emperor who was rampaging through the world. His fist contained a terrifying force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Puff! The old emperor screamed. Su Yan's punch had taken away half of his life. His body was covered in blood, and a small part of his head had cracked open. It was a tragic sight. Invincible, 5th update. Chapter 1911. Mu Xian's heart was in turmoil. She had just stepped into the sovereign realm and knew how powerful this realm was. It could easily trigger the laws of heaven and earth to suppress powerful enemies. Although this old sovereign of the reincarnation imperial family was weak and didn't have the battle prowess of his prime, Su Yan's fist could cause the laws of heaven and earth to explode. Even the mountains in the distance trembled and shattered. The earth trembled. It was as if an immortal saint spirit had walked out from the primordial era. Heaven's might swept toward the old sovereign of the reincarnation imperial family. Who are you? The severely injured sovereign screamed. Was this really Su Yan? Every step he took was like the pulse of heaven and earth. A figure vaguely appeared behind him. It was so majestic that it could suppress one's soul. The old sovereign was even more terrified. All the hair on his body stood on end. What kind of power was this? Had Su Yan become sovereign? The figure that appeared behind him appeared amidst the laws of heaven and earth. It was like an ancient sovereign. It was extremely majestic. The heaven's might was even more severe than the collapse of the galaxy. Puffed. The old sovereign coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. He couldn't withstand Su Yan's aura and started to worship him. He even felt that he was very small. He was so small in front of Su Yan. It was as if he was facing the ruler of all living beings. What kind of technique was this? Why did he have such a ridiculous feeling? Reincarnation Imperial family. I almost forgot about the Black Stone King. Su Yan was like a human emperor who had existed since ancient times returning. His entire body was filled with golden aura, accompanied by the laws of order that filled the sky. It was as if he was wearing the most powerful battle armor. He raised his hand and shattered the heavens, collapsing the old emperor's broken body. Fresh blood dripped down. It was a ghastly sight. This was an old emperor. He could not withstand Su Yan's killing intent and was forcefully blasted apart. Tai Baokai looked as if he had seen a ghost. What kind of divine ability was Su Yan using? One had to know that they had improved tremendously over the past few years, but Su Yan's growth was too shocking. He wasn't even at the peak of Daesung's domain realm, yet he was actually able to kill an Emperor Realm expert in such a peerless manner. Su Yan had used the power of the Mortal Emperor scripture just now, and it was like an earth-shattering, great divine ability. It carried boundless pressure, and it was even more frightening than an Emperor Realm expert. The Mind King should have matured, Muxian said softly. The Reincarnation Emperor clan had great ambitions. They had been guarding the mine for almost 10 years now. She believed that it was time for them to take over the mine. Su Yan calculated the time, and his heart shuddered. Maybe the Reincarnation Imperial family was already searching for the King of Mines. He had to rush to the destination as soon as possible. The group of people disappeared. They quickly left, heading towards the ancient divine mine realm. Watch me. Muxian was beautiful and exquisite. Her jet black brows were curved while her large eyes were clear and lively. Moreover, a pair of enormous wings suddenly appeared behind her, and they were faintly coiled with the aura of an immortal king. Boom! The instant the enormous wings flapped, heaven and earth trembled violently. Even the mountains rumbled, and the stars in the sky trembled chaotically. This was a pair of wings refined by the Phoenix King. From this, one could see how much the Phoenix King loved the space between her brows. The enormous wings fluttered, and the sky was filled with fragments of the great Tao. They carried Su Yan and the others, and in an instant, they arrived at the end of heaven and earth. Before they disappeared, the mysterious skeleton stretched out a large blurry hand. Energy rippled, erasing all traces of Su Yan and the others. After all, they had opened the Emperor's repository Tao Cave. Once the Emperor clan found out, this matter would definitely pierce through the heavens. They had to keep it a secret. Sure enough, just as the mysterious skeleton predicted, not even half an incense stick of time had passed since they left. Time. This fragmented space-time trembled violently. In the distant world, it was as if the gods had descended. A rain of reincarnation light lingered about, covering this region. Taboo giants. The creatures of the entire ancient realm were all horrified. A group of extremely terrifying existences had arrived. Taboo auras filled heaven and earth. This wasn't just a single one. Apart from the 3 great taboo experts in the lead, there were also several dozen reincarnation Emperor clan experts. Countless creatures trembled. This ancient realm could only be considered barren. Taboo giants descending might not necessarily happen even once in tens of thousands of years. However, it was different this time. A total of 3 terrifying leaders came. Everyone was horrified. What kind of major event happened? Dead. An Emperor-level expert from my clan died here. Primal chaos scattered down like a waterfall. 3-world shocking figures towered between heaven and earth, faintly discernible. Their hazy and unmatched heavenly might engulfed the entire ancient realm. 10,000 creatures were horrified. This was a divine might that was difficult to resist. It pressed down on their minds, and the entire ancient realm darkened. Muffled thunder rumbled in the heavens, directly wanting to split apart their souls. The 3 great taboo experts' faces fell. They used their heavenly eyes to search all directions, but they didn't discover any traces of the enemy. They couldn't have come from Burial Realm, right? Someone thought of something. The three great taboo giants shook their heads at the same time. That shouldn't be the case. They used their heavenly eyes to search, but they didn't catch any traces of Burial Realm spacetime. Someone grabbed the nearby creatures and interrogated them, but they couldn't get anything out of them. A pair of giant wings covered the sky, leaving in a hurry. There were too few clues. They couldn't confirm who it was that killed the Reincarnation Emperor clan's expert. The clan's giants were furious. They were Reincarnation Emperor clan's bloodline, who dared to assassinate their clan's members. Were they tired of living? There's definitely something fishy going on. An expert shouted coldly. I vaguely suspect that this is related to Emperor Zhang Dao Cave. The spies my clan arranged here shouldn't be so coincidental that they were killed by the enemy. Do you all think that damn Suyin came? Their moods were heavy. Suyin had already left King City for 10 years, right? This person had disappeared, vanishing from the world. Trying to find a hidden person in the celestial world was like looking for a needle in a haystack. They originally guessed that Su Yan's destination was Emperor Zhang Dao Cave, but they waited for 10 years and still didn't see him. The three great taboo experts joined forces and used their heavenly eyes to observe the edge of Burial Realm's entrance again. However, they still couldn't find any clues. You all go first. Don't make any mistakes. Make sure this item is excavated smoothly and escort it back to the clan. Their expressions were gloomy. They decided to leave one behind to guard this place, while the others returned first. The King of Mines was already digging. This matter had already alarmed the higher-ups of the Reincarnation Imperial family. Although it was still very difficult to determine the origin of the King of Mines, one thing was certain. It was definitely related to the Celestial King. The value of this treasure was too great. They had to ensure that nothing happened to the Mine King. Hundreds of ancient divine mine worlds were chaotic all year round. Blood flowed endlessly. The vast ancient worlds were connected one after another. If they could be connected together, it would be a vast ancient mine that contained endless heavenly treasures. Sometimes, rare supreme treasures could be excavated. However, most of them were kept a secret. The longer the age of the ancient mine, the greater the chance of producing supreme treasures. If one was lucky enough, they could dig out the mother material of heaven and earth. After endless time passed, some of the super ancient mines were controlled by powerful clans. There were also emperor clans that stretched their hands here. Without a doubt, this was a large-scale land of treasures. After endless years of war, this was especially true now in one of the large mines. Day after day, year after year, the entire ancient world's heaven and earth spiritual essence greatly decreased. Many realms dried up, turning into wastelands, making a few clans that were born and raised here complain endlessly. This was especially the case when this type of influence affected the surrounding ancient worlds. This matter alarmed a few people who came to investigate. They definitely produced an extraordinary supreme treasure. However, what made them feel regretful was that the source was in the hands of the Reincarnation Emperor clan, forbidding all outsiders from approaching. After all, this was the Reincarnation Emperor clan. If this clan really dug out an extraordinary treasure, they wouldn't dare say anything. Who is it? In the ancient world where essence energy declined, there were Reincarnation Emperor clan experts guarding every place. Right now, heaven overflowing vicious light surged from a distant world. This shocked a group of experts who came to investigate. Unfortunately, they couldn't even see anyone. Large amounts of Reincarnation Emperor clan experts were soaked in blood, a large group dying. There wasn't much to say. They just directly slaughtered their way over. Hurry! Su Yan's voice was heavy. His eyes overlooked the boundless great earth. They came here 10 years ago, but now a large portion of this ancient world's essence energy declined. This made even Mu Xin extremely shocked. This was an ancient world, its area measured in hundreds of millions. Could it be that the Orc King needed to sacrifice the entire ancient world's energy to produce it? Su Yan seriously suspected that the nearby ancient world was also affected. He could sense the strange fluctuations that pervaded the ancient mind, as if the great earth was producing a dragon vein, seizing the natural luck of heaven and earth. He reckoned that it had already taken form. It was because the source of this strange energy couldn't be suppressed any longer, about to erupt. Not good. Something big happened. Could it be that they're luring the tiger away from the mountain? At this moment, large amounts of experts were returning to the ancient world. Along the way, the pungent smell of blood assailed their nostrils. There were actually corpses everywhere. Bastard! The two great taboo overlords were furious. Who did this? To be so unrestrained, it was obvious that the other party had slaughtered their way over. They were iron-blooded and tyrannical, completely annihilating the army deployed by the Reincarnation Emperor clan. This is bad. Something big has happened. One of the taboo overlords was furious. The vertical eye between his brows opened wide. When he looked at the ancient mind, his eyes turned red. He saw a pair of huge wings, surrounded by terrifying radiance. The instant they flapped, the 10-square world trembled, the ferocious might engulfing the entire ancient world. The pair of wings were like peerless immortal swords streaking across the sky. The moment they slammed down, a large number of experts guarding outside the mine screamed miserably. They were sent flying in groups, and many experts' bodies were torn into pieces. Enemy attack. An expert screamed miserably. Who was so insolent, directly attacking their door? Did they want to start a war with the Reincarnation Emperor clan? Kill! Bao Kai and the others rushed out. Once the 10 years of accumulation erupted, their power would shock the world. They swept across the way, slaughtering the experts who fled far away. The Astra starred. Stop it right now. The two great taboo overlords roared and rushed over, but they were too slow. The mine was stained with blood. Killing swords streaked across the sky, and bamboo appeared all over the sky. In a short time, this area was blasted apart, and at the same time, the power of the seal in the mine collapsed. At this moment, the strange fluctuations flowing in the Black Stone King suddenly surged a lot, bombarding the entire mining area violently, and even the nearby ancient world was shaken with it. Dozens of ancient worlds were shaken, and all the mines were shining as if congratulating the Stone King's reappearance. Sixth update. Brothers, looking for monthly votes to encourage. Chapter 1912. What's happening? Could it be that a Stone King has been born? Someone spoke with a trembling voice. Heaven and earth were trembling violently. The ancient mine in the distance was rumbling violently. Auspicious multicolored light surged and splashed outwards, shaking the world. This wasn't just a single mine. The entire ancient world's mine shone at the same time. Auspicious multicolored light surged and surged into the heavens. One could well imagine how intense the storm was. This sign should be the birth of a rare Stone King, triggering a great change in heaven and earth. However, it's a bit sudden. Where exactly is the source? The sudden event triggered a huge commotion. Some experts were alarmed. They soared into the heavens and looked into the distance. Their scalps immediately went numb. Dozens of ancient worlds were shaking at the same time. The various large mines were resonating. The commotion was boundless to the extreme. Heavens, what kind of supreme treasure has been unearthed? This made the experts of the older generation cry out in excitement. This was a Stone King that affected dozens of ancient worlds. Even the taboo experts' emotions were surging. This might not happen even once in millions of years. It seems to be coming from the direction of the Reincarnation Emperor clan. A few years ago, that world's essence energy dried up. This old man suspected that a supreme treasure was about to emerge. I didn't expect my speculation to be true. That ancient world has been occupied by the Reincarnation Emperor clan. They don't allow any experts from other powers to approach. The experts were extremely vexed. Even though they didn't have the heart to fight over it, they couldn't personally witness its emergence. This was also a great regret in their lives. Something's not right. Look quickly. Blood, so many corpses. Did the mine trigger an ominous event? A few experts used their heavenly eyes to observe the source. They saw that the ancient mine was dyed red with blood. It surged and whistled, covering the sky. Just how many creatures had died? How long? A loud explosion rang out. The enormous ancient mine seemed to have collapsed. Su Yan's group rushed into the depths of the mine, closing in on the Stone King. During this process, strange fluctuations continuously erupted. Even the Daesong found it difficult to bear. They had no choice but to use supreme treasures to stop it. They withstood the power of heaven and earth's great changes and approached the source. Kill! The two terrifying creatures had already gone mad. The Reincarnation Emperor clan's taboo giant roared loudly, releasing terrifying killing intent. It tore apart the heavens, collapsing the boundless earth. Heavens, the people in the outside world were shocked. Could it be that someone was attacking the mine? However, the appearance of such a terrifying Stone King was indeed enough to attract the attention of experts. In the past, a bloody battle between immortal kings had erupted in the ancient divine mine world, and the number of people who died was immeasurable. Right now, Reincarnation Emperor clan's two great taboo experts roared, releasing ice-cold killing intent. They attacked the blood-soaked mining region. The entire mining area rumbled and trembled, many large pitch-black cracks appearing. They were dyed with bloody radiance, as if they were going to collapse at any moment. Dong, dong, dong. Strange fluctuations continued to spread out, sweeping out in a grandiose manner, affecting dozens of ancient realms in a chaotic dance. In fact, if it weren't for the fact that there were many experts from the Reincarnation Imperial tribe guarding the source area and using their treasures to block most of the strange energy waves, it would have shaken the 100 ancient worlds. Once this happened, the Reincarnation Imperial tribe wouldn't be able to monopolize the treasures unearthed from the source area. A strong enemy is attacking. In the depths of the ancient mine, turbulent fluctuations spread outwards. A group of silent experts woke up, their faces gloomy. They had already sealed off the news so tightly, yet they never thought that it would still trigger the killing intent of experts. They suspected that it was the Emperor clan's people who came knocking on their door. Otherwise, who would dare pluck the fur from a tiger's? But don't worry about them. Hurry up and dig out the Stone King. In the depths of the mine, an old man in a gray robe sat cross-legged in the primal chaos. Ferocious might slightly rose from his pores, causing some taboo experts to feel a chill, but at the same time, their minds were greatly calmed. Luan Feng Mao was old, but he exuded an unparalleled divine might. His slightly turbid pupils stared fixedly at the Stone King that was about to shed its stone skin. A strange, heavenly master of the clan was sweating profusely. He continuously held the origin brush, inscribing strange mysteries to help the Stone King break out of its shell. He was getting closer and closer to success. The Black Stone King's place of awakening was like a boundless cosmic sea. The divine light was too dazzling. Once it lost its suppression, it directly penetrated the ancient mine, causing the 100 ancient divine mine worlds to resonate. It was cultivated by seizing the creation of heaven and earth. Perhaps it had been nurtured for hundreds of millions of years, forming together with the immortal world's great Tao. As the Stone King gradually emerged, the strange fluctuations became more and more shocking. They swept out along the ground, shaking the heavens and earth. Su Yan came. His messy hair draped over his shoulders and cold lightning shot out from his eyes. He carried a domain-suppressing furnace and came knocking. "Who are you people?" A big shot shouted angrily. When they saw that it was a group of young men and women, they were all stunned. What was going on? "You." A forbidden expert with a terrifying aura was furious. "You are too bold. How dare you ride on the head of the Emperor clan and behave so atrociously? Even if you are from the Emperor clan, you won't be able to escape death." Su Yan replied calmly. "I came here 10 years ago. The reason why I didn't spread the news was that I also wanted the Stone King. Why, do you think that we are not qualified to fight for the Stone King?" "Bastard, How dare a group of juniors come here and act so impudently? The ancient mind rumbled fiercely, surging with boundless, ferocious might. There were 3 taboo realm experts here, as well as a series of peak experts at the Imperial Dao domain. They directly charged out with great weapons in hand, wanting to directly kill them. Boom! In an instant, a sharp aura leaked out, about to cut the bodies of the Emperor Dao experts and sever their souls. Mu Xi interrupted. The wings on her back suddenly enlarged, blazing and dazzling. They could easily split the sky and cut down the great stars that filled the sky. Moreover, there was a faint Immortal King domain spreading out. This is? Luan Fengmao's expression changed slightly. He looked at Mu Xian. He could vaguely see that the giant wings had a great background. There was an Immortal King Dao fruit arranged in it. His eyes were slightly red. This item was very helpful to him. Slash. Mu Xian's body stuck close to the ground as she charged forward. The power of the treasures that were pressing down on her were all cleaved apart. Boundless, blazing, immortal phoenix wings came crashing down on the 3 Forbidden Realm experts, giving them immense pressure. This was an Immortal King supreme treasure, but a little girl could perfectly fuse with it and unleash it. This little girl's background was not simple. Whoosh! Su Yan's figure stepped forward, and his destination was the Black Stone King. Evil creature, a saint dares to court death. Hand over your life. One after another, the emperors were furious. Their Emperor Dao laws sputtered. It was easy to suppress a Daesong. Su Yan erupted. He unsealed his strongest combat strength. His entire body's chi and blood surged. It instantly covered this item. It was hard to imagine that this was a Daesong erupting. His divine power was like a raging tide, steaming with a light that could destroy the world. So what if the emperors came one after another? The order laws that they evolved collapsed before Su Yan's ferocious might. The world trembled like paper. Everything was about to submit to Su Yan's feet. What? How is this possible? The emperors trembled. What kind of monster was this? Even the Emperor Dao laws could not suppress his ferocious might. Su Yan had crossed a major realm and was attacking the experts in the Emperor Dao domain. Kill! Su Yan roared. His black hair danced wildly. He activated the human sovereign scripture. Brilliant golden scriptures filled the sky. They outlined a supreme figure that looked down on the emperors of the world and reigned supreme. A Daesong was suppressing a group of emperors. This scene stunned everyone. Boom! The heaven-burying fist was unparalleled in the world. It instantly destroyed this place. The bodies of the emperors trembled. Large amounts of blood spurted out of their pores. They were about to be smashed alive by Su Yan's punch. No, several emperors died. They were killed by Su Yan. Who could compete with him? Su Yan strode forward. He looked down on everything. He was like a ferocious dragon in human form. His body was terrifying. The profundities of his Taoist skills were peerless. He was like a supreme emperor descending upon the world. How is this possible? Who are you? The surviving emperors shouted. Their hearts were filled with fear. They could not resist. They only felt a monstrous force covering their bodies. Blood was flowing out of their mouths and noses. Were they really emperors? Su Yan was more like an invincible emperor. The human sovereign scripture evolved the form of divine powers. It easily suppressed the emperor's primordial spirits. Slash! Su Yan's palm blade sword. It was 100,000 feet long. With a slash of the blade, the profundities of reincarnation bloomed. The blade light seemed to carry 100 reincarnations. It caused the world to disintegrate and decline. The bodies of the emperors withered. Their lives were draining away. They were aging and facing death. What kind of secret technique was this? The reincarnation emperor family was also skilled in the profundities of reincarnation. However, Su Yan's reincarnation path was fierce and domineering. It contained the power of heaven execution. Roar! Bao Kai and the others rushed over. Along the way, they crippled the emperors who had suffered great losses. In short, they were too savage. They killed their way over. You're Su Yan? Luan Fengmao was very calm. It was nothing to lose a few emperors. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. He said calmly, "You went to the Emperor's repository Dao cave." His eyes widened. He could not think of any other reason. Otherwise, there was no way to explain this person's terrifying state. He had to admit that Su Yin was truly a peerless genius. He was a top figure of the younger generation. "I was wondering why you were so calm." It turns out that there was an old fart overseeing this place. Bao Kai said coldly. This was a fake immortal king. When he suddenly fell into a state of silence, he could pose a fatal threat to them. Evil creature. Luan Fengmao's eyes widened. The terrifying light of reincarnation filled the sky. The entire ancient mine almost exploded. Many large cracks appeared. It swept across the vast ancient world and continued to exert pressure on the surrounding ancient worlds. Su Yin and the others were horrified. This was a fake immortal king. No matter how extraordinary and stunning they would definitely not be a match for a fake immortal king. Moreover, this kind of person could crush them with just a flick of his finger. Su Yin used the furnace of suppression to resist the killing intent of the fake immortal king. His gaze was fixed on the Black Stone King. He vaguely caught that the aura inside the Black Stone King was changing. There was a particularly terrifying fluctuation of the great Tao flowing. "It's done." Su Yan's eyes widened. He said, "Big Goldie, make your move." "Are you joking?" Luan Fengmao's face was gloomy. The reason why he didn't make a move was mainly because he was worried that it would interfere with the formation process of the Stone King. After all, with his powerful level, once he erupted, the essence of heaven and earth in this ancient world would be sucked dry. It would definitely affect the Stone King. "You want me to make a move?" Big Goldie frowned and said unhappily, "This old thing is too old. His chi and blood are declining, and his body functions are weak. He doesn't meet the standards of a genius at all. He's not worth the great fighting master wasting his divine power to train him." Luan Fengmao was a little stunned. Train him? He had simply heard the biggest joke in the world. He was a fake immortal king. Although he wasn't an immortal king, his divine power was world-shocking. Even if an immortal king came, he wouldn't dare to say that he could guide him. Big Goldie's words also poked his sore spot. He had been standing in the fake immortal king realm for a long time. In fact, there were many people like him in the immortal world. How could one break through to the immortal king realm just because they wanted to? Otherwise, when a monkey king broke through to the immortal king realm, he wouldn't have encountered such a disaster and almost died. "Old thing, you're not convinced?" Big Goldie's face fell. "Sir, it's done." At this moment, the strange heaven master of the reincarnation emperor family spoke. This caused Luan Fengmao to instantly erupt. His old physical body began to revive, and a small amount of energy whizzed out, creating a huge hole in the ancient mine, crossing the 9 heavens. "Big Goldie, make your move." Su Yin roared. "Destroying the human world is influenced by their family." "Su Yin, you bastard, why didn't you say so earlier?" Big Goldie's hair exploded, turning into a golden color. He was like a peerless demon god going crazy. The moment his golden hair danced in the wind, it tore the sky and split the sea. Each strand of hair could cut down the stars in the sky. "Ah!" Big Goldie let out a huge roar. His body stood tall, and his blood burned with anger, drowning the starry sky. His killing intent was terrifying, like the universe's ocean bursting a dam. In an instant, it was boundlessly terrifying, about to engulf hundreds of ancient worlds. "You trash. I actually let you live for a few more breaths. This is really intolerable." Big Goldie let out a wild roar. "Give me your life." Chapter 19:13. Kill. Big Goldie went berserk. His golden hair danced wildly like a waterfall, tearing the heavens apart. Each strand of hair could crush the great stars of the universe. Su Yin looked up at the scene of Tsang Yu's starry sea being destroyed. This was the power of a supreme physical body. Even a strand of hair could tear apart a planet. This was the celestial world. Even Goldie had the power to destroy the world. What kind of monster is this? Could it be an immortal king? One after another, the taboo experts trembled. Blood flowed from their mouths and noses, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. A young immortal king? They had never heard of or seen such a thing. Young immortal kings were too rare. They cried out in fear. What kind of monster was this? He was too quiet just now. Once the seal was lifted, his chi and blood flooded the universe, and he was extremely violent. Who had angered him? Lord Goldie is Lord Goldie. Charge! Bao Kai howled excitedly. Fortunately, Mu Xin reacted quickly. She rushed to Su Yan's side with her true phoenix wings. They worked together to form the furnace of suppression, isolating Big Goldie's terrifying divine power. One had to know that the entire mining area was shaking and disintegrating. Even the furnace of suppression had begun to rumble and shake, causing Su Yan and the others to feel dizzy. They knew how terrifying Big Goldie was, but they had never imagined that it would be so savage. Who are you? Luan Fengmao's expression changed greatly. He did not expect an unfathomable monster to be among their companions. I'm your Lord Goldie, your nightmare. Big Goldie roared. His body was tall and golden. The chi and blood he emitted were unparalleled. It was as if millions of suns were burning. The moment he charged out, he shook the heavens and the earth. The two taboo experts who were chasing Su Yan and approaching the ancient mine fell to the ground with a thud. They could not withstand the chi flowing out of the exploded mine. What happened? You ignorant brat. Luan Fengmao was so angry that his liver and lungs hurt. However, he knew very well that this was not someone to be trifled with. He had already crushed his communication token. He believed that the immortal kings of the tribes would come to suppress Big Goldie. However, they had to be stopped first. Otherwise, the Reincarnation Emperor tribe would miss out on a great treasure. I'll crush you with one punch. Big Goldie seemed to have gone mad. The destruction of the heaven-burying cave was a cruel fact that Big Goldie was still unwilling to believe. He brandished his fist and attacked. He was like a super-killing machine. Even the starfield collapsed. Ripples of destructive storms spread towards the distant world. Not good. Luan Fengmao's expression changed. This fist was unrivaled, and anyone who touched it would die. He decisively activated his life treasure. Even though it hadn't evolved into a celestial king weapon yet, this black sickle was still exceptionally astonishing. Killing power surged, surging with reincarnation great Tao symbols, hacking towards Big Goldie. Slash! Luan Fengmao roared. He released all of the divine power in his body and channeled it into the black scythe. It was like a giant black blade that was 1,000,000 zhang long. Boom! The sky was shaking and the earth was trembling. In his berserk state, Big Goldie threw a punch and blocked the black scythe. Luan Fengmao was truly stunned. What kind of monster was this? Even the black scythe could block it directly. Moreover, the friction created huge sparks. In the next moment, Luan Fengmao's expression changed drastically. This giant beast was too frightening. The fist imprint suddenly emitted an extreme wave of power, crushing the black scythe inch by inch. The matchless fist light charged towards Luan Fengmao. The black scythe exploded. A golden fist imprint smashed towards Luan Fengmao firmly. No matter how powerful the order laws he evolved were, everything was useless. They were shattered into pieces. Big Goldie's golden fist imprint hammered Luan Fengmao's body until half of it was crippled. A huge expanse of bloody light exploded. The sky was filled with a boundless rain of blood. It dyed the heavens and earth red and swept through the great universe. Heavens, what kind of aura is this? The entire ancient world trembled. This was the release of a great divine might. It pressed down on the surrounding dozens of ancient worlds and continued to surge. It swept through hundreds of ancient worlds, suppressing billions of lives. There was blood spreading in the direction of the source, blooming in large expanses. It dyed the great stars that were pulled down by Big Goldie's berserk power red. A bloody meteor shower descended. It was suspected that terrifying creatures were dying. What exactly happened? The people of the world went crazy. Could it be that Stone King's birth drew the attention of terrifying giants? The people of the world found it hard to imagine what kind of battle this was. Luan Fengmao cried out miserably. He couldn't endure Big Goldie's fist imprint at all. His body was half crippled, releasing a miserable cry. His flesh was close to completely exploding. "Who are you?" Luan Fengmao was a bit alarmed. This world was completely suppressed by Big Goldie's power. He couldn't escape at all. He felt that this wasn't an immortal king, but he possessed the flesh of an immortal king. Endless, undying power rushed out, refining the declining essence of blood in his body. This made Luan Fengmao feel disbelief. This was precisely a monster. "You've angered Golden Grandpa. If I wasn't worried about Su Yin and the others being affected, I would have blasted you apart with a single fist just now." Big Goldie roared in a low voice. His golden hair danced about chaotically, emitting a powerful discontent. This enemy should have been blasted apart with a single fist. He shouldn't have dragged things out and directly blasted him to death. Luan Fengmao almost went crazy. His eyes were about to split open, and his blood-dyed hair even exploded. This was undisguised humiliation. The expert who trampled on him was the strictest, not leaving him with the slightest bit of face. Luan Fengmao was a fake immortal king, after all. When had he ever suffered this kind of humiliation? He came from the reincarnation emperor clan. Wang. At this moment, the vertical eye between Luan Fengmao's brows instantly opened. It surged with blazing light, splashing out with reincarnation radiance. It shone on Big Goldie's flesh. He seemed to have seen an enormous golden dipper rising and falling, about to split apart the immortal world. Golden dipper mother material. His eyes trembled, his emotions about to explode. This was a priceless immortal treasure, but this person actually used the golden dipper mother material to refine his flesh. Was this method to scare off the Emperor clan? Who dared to do this in the past? Who dared to do this? He even suspected that Big Goldie was a great Tao avatar of an Emperor realm expert. Otherwise, who would have such courage to use the golden dipper mother material to refine a Tao body? "Suppress!" Luan Fengmao roared in a low voice, his broken body trembling. The vertical eye between his brows shone, spitting out a huge gate of reincarnation. It covered the sky and vaguely emitted the Emperor's might, suppressing Big Goldie. They had to trap him and wait for the Emperor clan's help. Otherwise, the reincarnation Emperor clan would miss out on two great treasures. This was a huge loss. "I can't hold on much longer." At this moment, Master Qi of the reincarnation Emperor clan was trembling all over. He was trying to suppress King Stone. The essence Qi in his body was quickly draining, and his divine power was about to be exhausted. Once King Stone lost his suppression, he would immediately escape. At that time, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to dig him out. There is no hope. Be good. Let me, the Beast God, relieve your pain. Su Yin and the others used the furnace of suppression to block the influence of heaven and earth. As they approached the Black King Stone, Baokai stretched out its large claws and asked for King Stone. "Stop dreaming. How dare you fight for the reincarnation Emperor clans, things so brazenly? Aren't you afraid of dying?" Master Qi of the reincarnation Emperor clan roared with red eyes. He had waited for more than 10 years and was about to succeed. In the end, a group of murderous gods came to snatch it. "You're loyal. I'll let you die quickly." Su Yin slapped Master Qi, causing his scalp to explode. Blood poured out like a waterfall. Baocai's large claws crushed Master Qi in the air. Although this person's attainments in the Strange Gate were superb, it was not convenient for him to cultivate. King Stone had just broken free from the suppression of the Strange Gate. It instantly trembled, and a vast wave of the great Tao flowed out. It was as if the universe that had been dormant for billions of years was blooming, accompanied by the Mother Qi. Boom! The domain suppression furnace cried out. Clearly, this sect's supreme treasure was too terrifying. If an immortal king weapon wasn't operated to its most powerful state, it would most likely be difficult to restrict the Stone King. This thing was like a great killing weapon, truly formidable. This treasure, Su Yan's spirit was greatly aroused. Even the mysterious skeleton was shocked. The harvest was too great. This was not an ordinary thing. It carried the essence of the immortal world. It was as if the immortal world was formed. It was surrounded by billions of great Tao order, accompanied by the Mother Chi. It was as if billions of true dragons had come out of the cage. The scene was shocking. This thing could be refined into an unrivaled weapon. Its price was higher than the sky. Universe Stone. Luan Fengmao's eyes were red. He screamed mournfully, and his body was trembling with excitement. No matter how he imagined, he could never imagine that this was a universe stone. It had been nurtured for billions of years. Moreover, it needed the nourishment of the endless energy of the immortal world. It was equivalent to a supreme treasure of the immortal world. Ah! Luan Fengmao screamed miserably. More than half of his head was blown off. Big Goldie waved his fist and attacked. The golden divine power all over his body exploded. It cracked Luan Fengmao's body. Even the strength of a false immortal king was greatly damaged. His soul was about to explode and turn into a rain of light. No! Luan Fengmao screamed like a madman. He was mad with hatred. This was a great fortune and opportunity. It was extremely important to the Reincarnation Emperor family. But now, it was about to turn into nothing. No, I'm not willing. I'm not willing. Luan Fengmao screamed in grief and indignation. What kind of fortune was this? The opportunity that even the titled emperors were jealous of was about to be snatched away by the enemy. No matter how powerful Luan Fengmao was, he couldn't survive. Big Goldie's golden foot stomped over and directly crushed Luan Fengmao's body into ashes as if it was crushing a bug. I'm not willing. I'm not willing. Luan Fengmao's remnant soul screamed. This was a universe stone. Once it was refined into his body, he had great hopes of stepping into the immortal king realm. Moreover, his future growth would be extremely terrifying and brilliant. However, all of this was for naught. Even his damaged body had been completely shattered, and even his soul had been crushed into a large expanse of ash. He carried boundless unwillingness as he left. Elder, the taboo experts of the Reincarnation Emperor family, who were still alive, screamed shrilly. This was a false immortal king, and he was directly trampled to death by Big Goldie. This was a great humiliation. Who dared to go against the Reincarnation Emperor family? Who else is there? Stand out. Lord Goldie will make you pay with your blood. Big Goldie's body was blazing. He charged into the outerverse. His undying divine power spread out and shook the world. He had not killed to his heart's content. The blood in his chest was still boiling. His eyes sputtered with blazing, killing intent. At this moment, killing intent burst out from his body and swept across the vast ancient world. In this ancient world, all auras related to Luan Fengmao instantly collapsed and exploded into bloody light. So what if they were taboo experts? Under Big Goldie's fury, these taboo experts directly evaporated and turned into ashes. The entire ancient world was dyed red with blood. The scene was too tragic. The number of people who died was immeasurable. The people brought by the Reincarnation Emperor family were completely wiped out by Big Goldie. Moreover, his surging anger suppressed the other ancient worlds. He wanted to go on a killing spree. Even if Big Goldie died in battle, he still had the determination to destroy a group of people. Get out here and accept your death for Lord Goldie. Big Goldie suddenly pulled out a guandong blade. Its entire body was golden. He slashed the sky with his blade and roared at the sky. He was going crazy for exterminating a clan. 6 chapters yesterday. I woke up too late today, but I still need to add more chapters for the exciting moments. Please cheer for Lord Goldie. Kill the immortal kings and slaughter the Reincarnation Emperors. Chapter 1914. Blood rushed into the heavens, roiling and pungent as if a sea of magma was erupting, affecting the dozens of ancient worlds. How many people have died? The older generation was trembling. The origin of the ancient world was a sea of blood. This was a bloody scene formed by the withering of many great figures. The world was already dyed red by blood. It was obvious that something terrible had happened. The Reincarnation Emperor family seems to have been massacred. Some experts opened their heavenly eyes and saw some of the truth. His scalp went numb as he said in shock, "It seems to be the work of an immortal king. Could it be that the Emperor family is fighting to the death? How terrifying is the Stone King that they dug out to cause the Emperor family to fight to the death?" In the vast immortal world, the Emperor family's prestige was unparalleled. It was rare to encounter an Emperor family bloodshed in a million years. Once this happened, it would definitely involve benefits. On the contrary, if it wasn't an Emperor family, who would dare to massacre the reincarnation experts? After all, too many people had died. The sky was dyed red by blood, and the dozens of ancient worlds were overflowing with bloody light. Moreover, there was an incomparably terrifying killing intent leaking out. It was like a supreme Holy Spirit that had transcended the immemorial era. Its roar shook the universe as its killing intent was released. Billions of creatures' hair stood on end. This was the anger of an immortal king. It wanted to slaughter the world and let the ancient divine mind world enter an era of bloodshed. Boom! In the exploded ancient mind, the universe stone released billions of laws and orders. It was extremely powerful and domineering, as if the condensed immortal world had appeared here. The sky was filled with divine aura, suppressing many of the bloody anomalies. This was the universe stone. It had accompanied the birth of the immortal world for billions of years. It had absorbed endless laws and orders of the immortal world, and its value was higher than the sky. Once this matter spread out, the Emperor family of the immortal world would definitely fight to the death. This item was extremely valuable to the Emperor family. It could be called the most powerful immortal treasure, and its value was not inferior to Emperor medicine. Boom! This universe stone shone with divine light. It almost tore through the seal of the furnace of suppression and escaped. "Golden Lord, quickly suppress it," Balkai screamed. "The experts of this lineage have all been killed by you. There are no enemies for the time being. Suppress the treasure now." Big Goldie's flames of anger were slightly restrained. After venting, the grief and indignation that had settled in his heart had dissipated. His pair of golden eyes regained their clarity, and he stared at the Cosmos Stone in shock. This was not an ordinary item. How could it not know about Cosmos Stones? This item was even more precious than the golden Dipper source material. It was an item that was naturally nurtured by the heavens, and the time it needed to settle down was extremely long. There was no need for Big Goldie to make a move. The silent 9-inch immortal pagoda in Su Yan's spiritual sea could no longer hold back. It directly rushed out and smashed into the Cosmos Stone. Buzz! This Cosmos Stone was wailing as if it had encountered an extremely powerful attack. The 9-inch tall stone pagoda looked ordinary, but it actually contained an extremely powerful force, causing the Cosmos Stone to rapidly dim. Su Yan, what kind of treasure is this? Could it be a weapon forged by a titled martial emperor that contains martial emperor laws? Muexian was shocked. Even the furnace of suppression could not suppress the Cosmos Stone, yet it was intimidated by the small stone pagoda that flew out from Su Yan's forehead. Su Yan was also unclear about the origins of the small stone pagoda. However, this was the most precious treasure of the Celestial Court, which caused Bao Kai and the others to be moved. Could it be an artifact left behind by the ancient celestial emperors? The 9-inch tall stone pagoda was extremely domineering as it sat directly on top of the Cosmos Stone. It also began to rotate, and with each rotation, the Cosmos Stone would tremble. After 9 consecutive revolutions, the small pagoda's entire body flourished with divine light, surging with terrifying immortal might. It suddenly transformed into a huge immortal pagoda that could practically suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Su Yan knew that the small pagoda was powerful, but he did not expect it to be so freakish. Bao Kai and the others were dumbstruck. Could it be that this thing could suppress an immortal king to death? Moreover, it seemed to have its own will. The moment it started to rotate, the Cosmos Stone was disintegrating. God damn it! Bao Kai roared. Its beast eyes blood red. It had actually destroyed the Cosmos Stone. This treasure is heavily damaged and needs to be repaired with the help of the Cosmos Stone. At this moment, the mysterious skeleton's aged voice rang out. It will most likely also obtain a great opportunity. Su Yin was shocked. The 9-inch tall stone pagoda was in a heavily damaged state. Then how strong was it at its peak? Especially after swallowing the Cosmos Stone, it would most likely complete an extremely extraordinary evolution. Could it still go one step further? Would it become an invincible weapon in the future? This made Su Yan's heart surge. Now that the Cosmos Stone was constantly crumbling, the small stone pagoda emitted a devouring power as it shone, causing layers of stone to fall off. Crunch! It seemed to be chewing on the Cosmos Stone. The process was neither fast nor slow. The Cosmos Stone gradually shrunk, but the vitality it emitted did not weaken. Millions of law runes curled up around it, all of them automatically appearing and blooming between heaven and earth. It swallowed the stone and preserved the liquid essence. The mysterious skeleton laughed heartily. This saves you the trouble of refining it. Wouldn't it be better to refine the Cosmos Stone into a supreme treasure? Fairy Xia asked. It would be good, but if I gave it to you, how many years would it take for you to finish refining it? The mysterious skeleton replied, it would be better to directly refine it and extract the Cosmos Stone's essence. This object was formed along with the immortal world, and the cosmos liquid inside is a supreme treasure for enlightenment. In the future, when you step into the Emperor realm and bathe in the cosmos essence, you will obtain great benefits. This object was of great help to immortal kings, not to mention breaking through to Emperor realm. Even in the Immortal's Cave, there might be such things. Even if it was distributed, the peerless geniuses might not be able to obtain a few drops. It was too rare and was enough to indicate the descent of great fortune. Boom! Suddenly, waves of oppressive aura engulfed this blood-stained ancient world. The powerhouses in the distant world were shocked to see a giant space-time domain gate appear. It opened in the blood-stained ancient world, and powerhouses rushed out one after another, each emitting the overflowing light of reincarnation. 10 square world trembled, and the Emperor race's heavenly might spread, engulfing heaven and earth. Who did this? More than 10 individuals with powerful auras traversed all directions. Their expressions all changed drastically. The experts of their clan that occupied this place were all slaughtered, not a single one left alive. Who was it that did this? Their methods were just too ruthless. Shameful. Where is the enemy? Which clan did this? A restricted level expert roared out, his face ashen. Everyone died. The entire ancient world was bleeding. He was so angry his entire body was shaking, really wishing to immediately dig out the enemy and hack them to pieces. Also, where did their clan's false immortal king go? Could it be that he was also killed? In short, they were about to go crazy, roaring out into the heavens. The entire ancient world was shaking. Reincarnation Emperor clan's people all went crazy. There were experts who roared out, immediately notify the clan. No matter who it is, as long as they are found, their clan will be wiped out. Their eyes were blood red, revealing endless madness. The ancient world was dyed red with blood. This was a tremendous disaster, to the extent where there were experts who had a bad premonition. This clan might have missed out on a great treasure. Stone King was definitely related to this, or else they wouldn't have caused this. Such a powerful killing calamity was released. After all, their reincarnation Emperor clan overlooked the immortal realm, their might suppressing the entire universe. Since ancient times, who dared to provoke them? Su Yin and the others hid in the dark, not acting rashly, quietly waiting for reincarnation Emperor clan's immortal king to arrive. In the end, a terrifying existence crossed through the gate. The energy aura it released was too terrifying, tearing apart the blood-colored heavens, about to sink the boundless ancient world. Immortal King, Reincarnation Emperor Clan's immortal king has moved out. Heavens, is it really going to trigger a bloody battle between the Emperor clans? The nearby ancient world's experts all retreated. This was a huge matter. Once the immortal king went crazy, triggering a bloody battle, the entire ancient world would collapse. The distant world would also be affected. On the bleeding Great Earth, more than 10 great figures from Reincarnation Clan had gloomy expressions. This clan's immortal king's figure was blurry and terrifying, overlooking the boundless rivers and mountains, his eyes also releasing extremely cold, killing intent. Roar, the immortal king's divine will swept through heaven and earth, but similarly, he didn't discover any surviving experts from his clan. The methods were too cruel, eliminating the roots and leaving no clues behind. The person who attacked shouldn't be an Emperor clan, otherwise there was no need to be so secretive. The immortal king roared, sweeping through the hundreds of ancient worlds, sweeping out with killing intent. Bastard! As if millions of thunderbolts struck down, the Reincarnation Emperor clan's immortal king roared. In the entire celestial world, who dares to provoke our Reincarnation Emperor clan? The terrifying creature went crazy, causing the living beings in the sky to tremble, almost unable to raise their heads. In an instant, the vast sky trembled violently. A shocking figure appeared, his chi and blood vast, drowning the world. With an extremely fast speed, he rushed towards the Reincarnation Emperor clan's immortal king, who spoke and attacked. He said angrily, "Lord Jean dares to provoke you, and I dare to kill you." The entire ancient world was filled with smoke and dust. It was as if a golden emperor star had descended, killing the Reincarnation Emperor clan's immortal king. Bastard! The Reincarnation Emperor clan's immortal king was furious. His aura surged endlessly, and the supreme laws of order surged. He shouted angrily, "Kill!" Too arrogant. After slaughtering the people of the Reincarnation Clan, they actually didn't leave and attacked the immortal king. What were they doing? Challenging the entire Reincarnation Clan? Challenging the most ancient Emperor Clan of the celestial world? Kill! The Reincarnation Emperor Clan's immortal king roared. His large hand rose, boundless and vast, slapping the sky as he charged towards Big Goldie. "All of you have to die. Lord Jean wants your dog lives." Big Goldie was domineering and invincible. His golden fist shone and smashed down with a rumble. His undying divine power burned, and the land shattered. Even the dozen or so great figures near the Reincarnation Emperor clan's immortal king screamed and trembled. No, they roared in fear. Big Goldie's power wasn't targeted at them, but the golden energy that leaked out was scorching hot, making them feel as if they had fallen into an oven. Their flesh and blood exploded, exploding into a large expanse of bloody light. A shocking scene. The fist imprint collided, and the world was destroyed. The Reincarnation Emperor clan's immortal king's arm was broken. Big Goldie was like a human-shaped super killing machine. He stretched out his arms and hugged the immortal king's waist. Then, he threw the immortal king to the top of the sky. "Trash, hand over your life," Big Goldie roared, charging towards the great universe. He unsealed his strongest combat strength, and the sky was filled with golden chi and blood. One after another, like billions of mountains entrenched themselves, rumbling as they attacked the Reincarnation Emperor clan's immortal king. Chapter 1915. The bloody battle between immortal kings caused a world-shaking storm. This wasn't a battle in the outer world, but just in the star field. Two terrifying creatures were fighting to the death, peerlessly terrifying. The auras of immortal kings spread out and merged. The moment they attacked, it instantly shook the heavens and earth. Boom! Vast divine might bloomed, spreading through the ancient divine mind world and then towards the distant worlds. It was simply going to shake the 3,000 worlds. Billions of creatures felt a chill from head to toe. This was an irresistible divine might that suddenly pressed down. It was as if the universe was disintegrating. The supreme immortal king might suppress their souls, causing their bones and blood to tremble. Some people even knelt on the ground. Immortal kings are fighting to the death. Someone's voice trembled. The ancient divine mind world was completely shaken. The 100 ancient worlds seemed to be dancing chaotically. It had already affected the distant ancient worlds to tremble. All the great sects were in an uproar. What happened? It triggered a bloody battle between immortal kings. In the direction of the source, great stars fell from the sky, surging with heaven overflowing law flames, burning the souls of all creatures. This was a region far away, so they couldn't bear the killing intent of immortal kings. How powerful were immortal kings? Now that the world had caught them, they had enough power to destroy the world. Kill! The reincarnation race's immortal king roared. Although his arm was broken, his Tao was too profound. Once he went crazy, billions of strands of law emitted a vast reincarnation power. It was as if a sleeping emperor was gradually waking up. You know good. I'll kill you. Big Goldie's body was blazing, his golden hair like a waterfall. With a loud roar, he was wild and domineering. He raised his fist and smashed forward. Big Goldie relied on his undying and indestructible body. Ordinary immortal kings couldn't do anything to him. His body contained unparalleled heavenly power. With a rumble, he smashed through the reincarnation law order and attacked the immortal king's body. Roar! The reincarnation race's immortal king roared. The body of an immortal king was incomparably powerful and could be said to be indestructible. It was as if there were billions of treasures stored inside, erupting with brilliant light of the great Tao. He raised his fist to meet Big Goldie's fist. At the same time, he activated a shocking divine ability. Behind him, the light of the ancient emperor vaguely sputtered out, causing this attack to be powerful and abnormal. It evolved into a reincarnation gate that swallowed Big Goldie in one breath. Boom! A big explosion occurred in the outer realm. The ripples of destruction surged, and the universe trembled. This was a shocking scene. The reincarnation race's immortal king suffered a thunderous strike, his entire fist shattering, filling the sky with blood, crushing the starry sky, destroying the great stars that filled the sky. Oh my God! Everyone screamed in shock. The fist of the reincarnation immortal king was directly smashed apart. Goldie was like an invincible emperor. His golden body was filled with incomparable strength. It destroyed the immortal king order laws. He raised his fist high, emitting a supreme heavenly power, wanting to kill the immortal king. Bastard! The heavily injured immortal king roared. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes flashed with madness and killing intent. At the same time, he could also tell that Big Goldie wasn't made of flesh and blood at all. It was a supreme treasure body forged from the mother material of the Golden Dipper. This was an almost undying and indestructible body, and it was difficult for the body of an immortal king to face it head-on. Life and death reincarnation. The blood-stained immortal king chanted sutras, and a magic power in his body spread out, accompanied by the release of billions of immortal king order laws. Moreover, the heavenly art that he circulated was extremely powerful and domineering, condensing supreme law order on his body. His left and right hands contained supreme fist imprints, containing the power of great fear. Kill! The reincarnation race's immortal king rushed over. He gathered his strongest magic power and circulated the reincarnation race's great divine ability, the life and death reincarnation fist. It affected the ancient divine mind world, causing it to flicker with boundless power. He wanted to use the strongest dermic power order to stop Big Goldie. Even an enormous figure rose up behind him, filling the great universe and looking down on all life in the universe. He wanted to rule the world and become the king of reincarnation. Roar! Big Goldie roared towards the sky, and the entire universe trembled. The universe seemed to have changed its path and flowed towards Big Goldie. An extremely violent aura surged. Big Goldie seemed to have transformed into a giant spirit between heaven and earth. He opened his mouth and swallowed the universe's stars. He was billions of feet tall, so huge that he wanted to tear apart 3,000 worlds and destroy billions of gods and devils. What is that? Everyone trembled, and all the great sects were boiling. They caught endless, undying, divine power burning, as if it was going to turn into eternity between heaven and earth. When the people saw the extremely majestic golden mountain, it was as if the spine of the immortal world was blooming, causing them to tremble to the extreme. This was a human body, a real human body, and not a true form. Could a human's body really be so terrifying? Big Goldie is serious. He has grasped the supreme inheritance, and his body is too abnormal. Suyin shouted, "His body is the king. He can definitely kill an immortal king. Lord Goldie, charge, kill him, kill the reincarnation race's immortal king." Bao Kai and the others were all boiling with excitement. Was this a supreme body technique? The golden body that was billions of feet tall supported the life and death reincarnation. Suddenly, the heavens fell and the earth cracked, as if a demon lord was messing with the immortal world. Big Goldie was so terrifying that he wanted to destroy the immortal Tao. So crazy that it was terrifying. The billions of feet tall giant god roared, and the universe was about to be destroyed. Pooh! The blood-stained immortal king's body trembled violently. The life and death reincarnation light that filled the sky collapsed. This roar was about to shatter the body of the reincarnation race's immortal king. "You can't do it. Lord Goldie will kill you." Big Goldie waved his fist and attacked. He had simply transformed into a peerless demon god, pouncing on the universe. He was terrifyingly crazy, fighting to the point of madness. Reincarnation cycle, billions of years. A low roar exploded. The reincarnation race's immortal king's blood was burning. He had used his ultimate technique, or else he would really die. Buzz! A heavenly eye opened between his brows. It was ancient and majestic, and the sun and moon inside were destroyed. The reincarnation heavenly eye erupted, awakening from its slumber. In an instant, a vast rain of reincarnation light splashed out, causing the world to wither and the broken sea of stars in the sky to dim. This attack contained indescribable reincarnation power. It was vast and majestic, covering the world, radiating to the past, present, and future. This secret technique is so terrifying, Mu Exine cried out in horror. The divine force in her body seemed to have dried up. She felt weak and wanted to fall asleep. Without a doubt, reincarnation's influence was too far-reaching, if not for Big Goldie's divine force suppressing it. Once this supreme secret technique was released, it would bring about a devastating disaster to the ancient divine mind world. The number of creatures that would die would definitely be astronomical. Big Goldie caught the danger, but he didn't use his body to resist. Chi! In an instant, he pulled out a Guan Gong blade. This blade was entirely golden. The moment it awoke from its slumber, a terrifying and boundless aura erupted, as if it was going to destroy the universe. Bastard! The reincarnation race's immortal king trembled and went crazy. The Guan Gong blade was carved from the mother material of the Golden Dipper. It could easily split apart heaven and earth. The boundless reincarnation power he produced was directly split apart by this blade. "Kill!" Big Goldie roared. The enormous Guan Gong blade hacked down crazily, about to destroy the world. At this moment, everyone suspected that the ancient world below had collapsed, producing a large crack. The entire ancient world was directly cut apart. How long? The bleeding immortal king immediately produced a great cauldron, blocking the path ahead, buying precious time. He already informed this bloodline's ancient ancestor to come. As long as he could stall for some time, it would be enough. However, reincarnation race's immortal king definitely didn't expect that the moment his life cauldron and Guan Gong blade collided, the entire cauldron would tremble intensely. An unmatched, great force immediately tore this cauldron in half. Vaguely, within Big Goldie's Guangong blade, there were Emperor Dao laws hazy. The blood-soaked immortal king was stupefied, towering between heaven and earth. His pupils were filled with the terrifying radiance of Guangong blade. This was refined by an emperor-level expert, containing the power of an emperor-level expert, refined by Emperor Dao laws. Strictly speaking, even for emperor clans, this type of weapon was extremely rare. It was because even if an emperor-level expert refined this weapon, it would still require endless time and effort. What's wrong? The entire world became silent. The great battle seemed to have stopped. Could it be that the two great emperor clans' immortal kings were prepared to stop, sit down, and have a chat? Some people felt that something was wrong. The golden Guangong blade in Big Goldie's hand was trembling, flowing with a peerless radiance. He's dead. Muek Xian's eyes widened as she caught sight of the aura of death. It was too thick, so thick that it pressed down on their hearts. The immortal king was dead. Under everyone's horrified eyes, the blood-soaked immortal king's flesh shell burst open, breaking into two. The world discovered the mark of a golden blade that cut the reincarnation race's immortal king into two, severing his soul and breaking his source of life. Roar! Before he died, he let out a hysterical roar. His severed flesh exploded, rushing out of the endless sea of laws, crashing into Big Goldie and sending him flying far away. His body smashed into shattered stars. Big Goldie coughed out blood. His blood was golden. His body staggered, and his immortal body was slightly sunken. Some cracks even appeared. Burning his body to the extreme in battle would cause severe damage to Big Goldie. If he wanted to recover, he would need a large amount of precious stones. Moreover, the blade just now had gathered his strongest power, and he had lost his defense. That was why the immortal king's dying counterattack had threatened his body. Although Big Goldie was forged from the mother material of the Golden Dipper, the immortal king already possessed strong enough power of laws. In the immortal king domain, he could not be considered indestructible. However, Big Goldie did not care at all. He was bathed in blood. Killing an immortal king was enough to make the reincarnation Emperor clan's hearts ache. This was a great loss for the Emperor clan. The immortal king is dead. The whole world was silent. There was no commotion, no noise, only endless panic that filled their chests. They could not breathe, and it was extremely oppressive. The reincarnation race's immortal king died in front of them, exploding into a bloody light. There was no abnormal phenomenon. After all, he had used his strongest power to attack Big Goldie, but could not destroy his immortal body. What kind of concept was this? This was the death of an immortal king. It would not happen in the immortal world for tens of thousands of years. It would only appear in the Three Realms battlefield. Lord Golden is really scary. Fairy Zixia was in a daze. She murmured. The celestial king was cleaved alive by him. The golden saber he grasped contained the laws of the Emperor Dao. This was a supreme power. The body of the celestial king was unable to withstand it. The mysterious skeleton said softly, "An old immortal king is not weak." After all, the reincarnation race is not an ordinary race. If not for the golden saber, it would not be easy to kill this immortal king. The weight of this immortal king naturally could not be compared to the old monkey. The reason why he was killed so decisively was because of the weapon interwoven with the Emperor Dao law and Big Goldie's determination to risk his life. After all, killing an immortal king and seriously injuring one were two completely different concepts. How difficult was it to kill an immortal king? It required the immortal king to risk his life, and he would pay a great price. Boom! Suddenly, a vast fluctuation appeared in the ancient divine mind world that was suppressed to the extreme. It was as ancient as the 3,000 universes blooming. This is Su Yan's expression changed. A big monster was coming. The power it emitted was too shocking. Gradually, a blurry and huge figure came, as if it was going against the river of time. Reincarnation light filled the sky. Unparalleled divine power filled the ancient divine mind world. All living beings trembled and knelt down to worship. Even the taboo giants were no exception. They trembled. This was an irresistible Emperor Dao law. It pressed on their hearts and turned into the ruler of their lives. The Emperor Dao law expert is here. Muxin was scared. Her voice was trembling. This was a figure that lived in legends. Boom! The sky trembled. The sky was filled with a rain of reincarnation light. It was as if it had passed through one universe era after another. The opening power became more and more shocking. The ancient divine mind world was trembling. Then, the vast Emperor Dao law swept across and drowned the distant world. In an instant, millions of ancient worlds resonated. An unparalleled existence had awakened. What kind of majestic power was this? Terrifying divine power surged, engulfing 1/10 of the immortal world's territory and triggering a terrifying change. It wanted to kill all past, present, and future, and slaughter all who resisted. Big Goldie suddenly trembled. He wasn't a brute. He knew very well that he wasn't strong enough in front of this kind of person. Moreover, he was already injured. He had used up a lot of divine power to quickly kill the immortal king. He quickly retreated. The Emperor Dao law expert had arrived. It's him. Su Yan's eyes widened. He pointed at the blurry and ancient figure. This monarch-like existence was like a dragon and tiger. He was like a matchless emperor. Su Yan went berserk. His eyes were red. Reincarnation Emperor. Su Yan, you've seen him before? Bamboo Moon's beautiful face lost color. After all, this was too shocking. His might shook the immortal world and looked down on the world. Who could compete with him? Back then, this one was almost beaten to death by Dao, Celestial Emperor. I never expected him to still be alive. Su Yan roared, his eyes widening in anger. He was almost killed as well. He never expected him to still be alive. Even if the Reincarnation Emperor turned into ashes, Su Yan still wouldn't forget him. In an instant, the little pagoda that swallowed the cosmos stone shone, releasing a thunderous sound that resounded in Su Yan's mind. Su Yan came back to his senses. He discovered that the little pagoda had changed, as if it was displaying its might. Large amounts of cosmos stone's energy were refined. The 10th layer of the little pagoda was faintly discernible, as if it turned into an ancestral weapon. It changed, becoming angry. Su Yan was shocked. Did Dao, Celestial Emperor, awaken the little pagoda? How long? The little pagoda was especially frightening. It was swaying, its aura also surging towards the mysterious skeleton. Should I get rid of him? The mysterious skeleton's void image floated out. The little pagoda alone couldn't do this, so it needed its assistance. It was an aged figure whose appearance couldn't be seen clearly. The little pagoda trembled, releasing endless killing intent as a tyrannical reply. Get rid of him. Bao Kai and the others were all stupefied, feeling that this world was too crazy. Right now, they were plotting to get rid of a titled emperor. Titled emperor was too far away for Su Yan and the others. Enemies of this cultivation realm weren't something Su Yan and the others could imagine. However, the little pagoda was going crazy right now, wanting to kill a titled emperor giant. Big Gold scratched his head, feeling that the methods he used just now were a bit weak in front of these two big shots. That's fine too. We should teach them a lesson. The mysterious skeleton grasped the execution immortal sword. It nodded and said, "This one is a bit familiar. Should have seen him before. We can get rid of him and obtain his emperor blood. It can also allow the younger generation to complete the final baptism." The little pagoda erupted, expressing its approval. It directly moved out, attacking the Reincarnation Emperor. Brothers de Zhang, the little pagoda is moving out, about to attack a titled emperor giant. I beg for monthly votes, recommendation votes. Delete to provide assistance. Add divine force to the little pagoda. Chapter 19:16. At the limits of heaven and earth, the Reincarnation Emperor moved through the air. His indistinct figure seemed to be living in the past, walking out from the archaic era. Divine might was vast and mighty, engulfing millions of ancient worlds, affecting 1/10 of the immortal world, triggering a huge commotion. Emperor, heavens, an emperor has come into being. It seems like the reincarnation clan's emperor has come out. What happened? The creatures in the sky trembled. This was simply a legend that lived in legends. Millions of ancient worlds resonated, incomparable emperor might surging, covering the sky and covering the earth. It was incomparable. A titled emperor came out of the mountain gate in anger. What happened? Tens of thousands of sects were in an uproar. Even the old sect masters of great sects stood out, looking at the figure that arrived while stepping on heaven and earth. These millions of ancient worlds seemed to be flowing under his feet, moving about. His strength was too inconceivable. Reincarnation clan's previous emperor. An old monster's expression was horrified. They didn't expect this person to still be alive. It was rumored that he died a long time ago. Moreover, he hadn't appeared in the world for an endless amount of time. But now, he walked out alive. What was an emperor? When this title was given, it meant that one was the lord of an emperor clan, an existence at the peak of the immortal world, an existence that even immortal Elder Academy's Cien Elder had to pay respect to. This was also the previous emperor of the reincarnation clan. Back then, after a taboo event occurred, this clan also produced a new reincarnation emperor. It was rumored that the previous emperor passed away in meditation. However, to be able to sit in the position of an emperor clan's lord, one could see this person's glorious level. His title still hadn't been forgotten, Sky Tyrant Emperor. What this bloodline cultivated was the reincarnation Sky Tyrant scripture. This clan's Sky Tyrant Emperor was also the descendant of the reincarnation emperor. He, Sky Tyrant Emperor, was a legendary figure who had once dominated the world, one of the reincarnation emperor clan's stabilizing pillars. Even though the current Sky Tyrant Emperor was no longer as mighty as before, his chi and blood declining, he still rippled with emperor might, majestically engulfing millions of ancient worlds, causing a tenth of the immortal world's territory to rumble violently. Some old monsters were alarmed. It was rumored that the taboo event back then was also because of Sky Tyrant Emperor's series of calamities. However, he was the Emperor Lord of the reincarnation tribe, after all. No matter what, he could not watch him die. After all, if he died, the reincarnation emperor tribe would lose their reputation as the invincible emperor tribe in the celestial world. Although the celestial tyrant Empyrean managed to survive, he had been recuperating for a long time. Even now, he had yet to fully recover. He was no longer the celestial tyrant Empyrean of the past. So merciless, killing the immortal kings of my race, you deserve to die. A majestic voice exploded, causing the ears of countless living beings to ring. This was a declaration to the world. Blood energy shot out of celestial tyrant's pores and shook the entire space-time. The million ancient worlds trembled as if they were about to be destroyed. The crowd of heroes trembled, all of them terrified. What was going on? The immortal king of their clan had died. When did this happen? They had no idea at all. Buzz. At the same time, a vertical eye opened in the center of the celestial tyrant emperor's brows. He instantly saw the place where the immortal king of the celestial tyrant emperor died. In his eyes, the stars in the sky were vanishing as the gate of reincarnation appeared. He chanted the heavenly melody of the great Tao, dominating the world. Nothing in the ancient bloody world could hide from his heavenly gaze. When he saw Big Goldie, his expression was slightly stunned. He had clearly seen through the golden dipper mother material. When the vertical eye between his brows landed on Su Yin, his expression was somewhat surprised. He felt that this person was somewhat familiar. His aura was somewhat familiar, as if he had met him before. But where exactly had he seen him before? This made the celestial tyrant emperor particularly surprised. Those who could be remembered by him were definitely not ordinary people. But when he thought about it carefully, he could not remember. The important thing was that Su Yin was merely a Daesong with extraordinary potential. Su Yin's spirit was also greatly roused. His entire body stiffened as if he had been seen through. Although he was in the heavenly embryo back then, titled emperors were still matchless creatures. Could it be that he had recognized him? Suddenly, the entire world trembled. This kind of majestic might that was difficult to resist engulfed their bodies and minds. What is this? Attacking a monarch-level expert? What kind of joke is this? Some people trembled, about to explode. Attacking a giant? They discovered a very crazy thing. Someone was attacking a titled monarch-level expert. There was already a thunderous force pressing over. The million ancient worlds were also trembling. This was an unimaginable power erupting. Kill. The little pagoda attacked, releasing an enormous character that illuminated heaven and earth. In addition, the indistinct 10th layer of the precious pagoda interweaved with the endless light of the cosmos. The instant it shone, the entire pagoda flourished greatly, simply moving along the great river of time to attack the celestial tyrant emperor. Shameful! Even an artifact dares to target me. The celestial tyrant emperor erupted in anger. He hadn't left the mountain gate for an endless amount of time, and now he encountered an attack as soon as he came out. How could he not be angry? His large hand rose up, instantly attacking. Along the way, the boundless starry domain erupted with heaven overflowing waves one after another. An enormous star even exploded. This attack crossed at least 1,000 ancient worlds. Endless emperor might surged, covering heaven and earth as it suppressed towards the little pagoda. The deities trembled. This scene was too terrifying. It was difficult to imagine, and they couldn't see the full picture. They only felt as if the outer realm was collapsing and everything was destroyed. The immortal world seemed unable to bear the weight of their battle. The little pagoda's brilliance overflowed into the heavens. The 10th layer of the pagoda suddenly became indistinct. However, it was like a giant that overlooked time, releasing extreme power. In that instant, it smashed heavily into the enormous palm that was crushing down. The collapse of the starry domain had far-reaching effects. The people of the world felt as if the heavens had been pierced and the outer realm had collapsed into a huge black hole. They couldn't see anything clearly, and they would fall into eternal darkness. Suyan's mind was tense. Could the little pagoda defeat the celestial tyrant emperor? It had just swallowed a large amount of cosmos stones, and it was about to nurture the 10th layer of the pagoda. Its power had undoubtedly risen sharply. However, it was facing a titled emperor after all. Although the celestial tyrant emperor was no longer the reincarnation monarch of the past. Even if he had declined, he still wasn't an ordinary person. Emperor Tao laws that filled the sky leaked out, surging and whistling as if they had turned into a sea of life. The pagoda danced chaotically in the storm of destruction, like a stone that was about to explode. Emperor, suddenly, a huge ancient character was branded on the pagoda's body. In an instant, the pagoda completely changed. It rotated and enlarged millions of times. It was so huge that it could fill the reincarnation cycle of heaven and earth. It was as noble as a generation's emperor. The entire pagoda emitted golden divine light, as if the emperor's pagoda was suppressing down. Human emperor's scripture. Suyin stared. The little pagoda had also learned the human emperor's scripture, and it directly released it. The entire pagoda seemed to have turned into an invincible, immortal pagoda, filling the sky with scripture characters. Millions of layers of pressure pressed down, making the reincarnation monarch's figure somewhat blurry. A pagoda was suppressing a titled emperor. The scene looked too unreal. The entire world was shaken. Whose supreme treasure was this pagoda? Who was its owner? Once it was thrown out, it could suppress and kill an emperor? Break from me! The reincarnation monarch roared, his body rushing out with the light of reincarnation. The reincarnation heaven tyrant scripture was circulating. This was a tyrannical heavenly power that could suppress the past, present, and future. Two great heavenly arts were released, simultaneously launching a collision. At the same time, this was also a battle of strength, a bloody struggle. Boom! The sky collapsed, the great cracks endless. This was the most powerful battle storm surging, engulfing 1/10 of the immortal world. The intensity of the battle was unimaginable. Even outer space was trembling. The sky was filled with Emperor's might. The little pagoda covered the reincarnation monarch with the power of the human Emperor's scripture, but it was extremely difficult to completely suppress him. Under the celestial tyrant Emperor's fury, millions of strands of law of order drilled out of his pores. Although he was old and did not have the might of his peak, he was still not threatened by a single pagoda. Once he fully erupted, the little pagoda rumbled and trembled, about to be unable to suppress the celestial tyrant emperor and fly out. Boom, boom, boom. The more the celestial tyrant emperor fought, the crazier he became, as if he had returned to his youth when he dominated the world. Punch after punch, containing biting cold attacks, the little pagoda rumbled continuously, as if the pagoda was about to disintegrate. However, the little pagoda also continuously scattered down vast scripture characters, hazy with the aura of opening the sky. It wanted to trace back to the origin of the imperial Tao, connect to the outside of the three realms, and draw down a grand might, pressuring the reincarnation monarch until his mouth and nose were bleeding. Heavens! 10,000 creatures roared. The titled emperors were all injured. Although the little pagoda was rumbling and trembling, the power of the little pagoda also crushed the celestial tyrant emperor until his pores bled. What kind of weapon was this? What era did it come from? The celestial tyrant emperor is old. An old sect master's scalp went numb. He had no choice but to admit the cruel reality. Even titled emperors would grow old. If he was at his peak, who could contend against him? But now, the celestial tyrant emperor was extremely old. Otherwise, the little pagoda would not have chosen to attack him. Kill! The celestial tyrant emperor roared, full of anger. Although he had declined, he could still erupt with a little of his peak strength. He even saw through the origins of the little pagoda. It had the human sovereign scripture and came from the human world. Could it be that it was obeying the orders of the ancient celestial emperors to kill him? I am the reincarnation monarch. Whoever dares to stop me, kill. The celestial tyrant emperor roared. Suddenly, he was beaten like a dog by the ancient celestial emperors and returned to his clan. But after so many years, which one of them could still be alive? Kill! He really went berserk. He waved his fist, wanting to completely break through the suppression of the immortal pagoda. That was because he had caught a wisp of dangerous aura, and there were other enemies nearby. The little pagoda rumbled and trembled. It was about to be unable to resist and fly out, but it could not retreat. It had already paid such a great price to temporarily keep the reincarnation monarch in check. As long as it borrowed the supreme killing power, it would be enough to slaughter a titled monarch and dye the immortal world red with blood. Kill! At this moment, the mysterious skeleton finally waved the immortal slaying sword. He used all his strength. This golden sword core was operated to the point where it was about to explode. It sputtered out a grand and seemingly illusory sword radiance. This strike made all of the mysterious skeleton's bones become a bit dim, but it still produced an incomparably horrifying effect. The entire ancient world seemed to have dried up, endless essence, energy exhausted. The great stars that filled the sky were all destroyed like shattered rocks. The sword slashed out, piercing through epochs, crossing the long river of time. It was very outrageous and also very illusory, because it was completely impossible to see. The million ancient worlds seemed to have turned into an illusory sword, about to cut through the immortal world, attack the great emperor clans, and wash the world with blood. The mysterious skeleton seemed to be admiring a work of art. This was the sword art that he had finally deduced after hundreds of millions of years of slumber, combining all the supreme arts and divine abilities. This sword art had no name, no title. At the same time, he was also looking forward to this sword's power. The sword slashed out, crossing one ancient world after another, crossing an unimaginable territory. It was going to cross the entire immortal world in a short period of time. I will borrow from the heavens for hundreds of millions of years. With my sword, blood sacrifice to the emperor's will cut down the enemy. The mysterious skeleton's low roar erupted. He also went crazy. The illusory and ancient body turned into a generation's sword ancestor, looking down on time, about to turn into an invincible being of the present age. In an instant, the million ancient worlds trembled. Sword cries overflowed, one after another. It was as if hundreds of millions of sword cores were dancing in the sky, emitting blazing radiance. They wanted to hack down the entire heavens, sacrifice to his unrivaled sword Tao, return to the peak era. Heavens, tens of thousands of sects rumbled. The ancient ancestors of the various great ancient clans all trembled. This was a terrifying scene. The cries of swords reverberated in the million ancient worlds. Hundreds of millions of sword cores rose from the ground. Even the super-killing sword that was hanging in the ancestral cord of the Supreme sect flew out and hummed on its own in response to the mysterious skeleton's domineering words. At the same time, the treasured swords in the hands of countless cultivators trembled involuntarily and flew into the sky. They resonated with the void sword that was slashing towards celestial tyrant Lord along the way, and slanted out a divine power that flowed into the void sword body. Suyen's blood boiled. This sword was different from the sword that slashed the epic. It was a peerless supreme art created by the mysterious skeleton. The deafening cries of swords reverberated in the million ancient worlds. It was as if it was going to cut one's flesh and blood and sever one's soul. What a terrifying storm this was. When the sword ancestor came out, all swords reigned supreme. Roar! Celestial Tyrant Lord was a little frightened. The original sense of crisis was infinitely magnified. The opponent wanted to kill him with one sword, and this was a sneak attack. In the end, the ultimate killing power that was triggered suddenly soared by a large margin. Suddenly, this sword art was a little unfamiliar, but when he saw the domineering sword will of the ancestor of all swords, he instantly thought of a person, a man who was called the number one sword in the three realms. In this world, who else could burst out with such a strong sword will other than him? Could it be that he was still alive? But if he was really alive, he wouldn't have attacked secretly. He would have just come out and attacked their clans directly. The mysterious skeleton was the strongest giant in the human world. Naturally, he wouldn't be afraid of any monarch clan, nor would he be afraid of any monarch clan leader. This was a great danger that no one dared to provoke. It was said that in his later years, he stepped on the path of invincibility and pursued an even more terrifying way of the sword. What is that? The old monsters of various clans were frightened. The whole time and space had turned into a sword, so illusory that they couldn't see it clearly. But they felt that it had filled up the time and space and suppressed the long river of time. It was going to cut through the past, present, and future and cut down the giant that looked down on the long river of time. Chi, the sword that could be called an ultimate sword art, instantly cut through the laws of the monarch Tao order and slashed on the body of the reincarnation monarch. It's you, celestial tyrant Lord wanted to roar, but he didn't have much strength left. Even if the other party had created a new ultimate art, he still caught a trace of familiarity. It was definitely him. The man who was called the number one sword in the three realms secretly attacked him. He couldn't live. In the immortal world, there were only a few who could withstand this sword. If there was hope for him to survive his strongest era, but now he really had a feeling that there was nothing he could do to reverse the situation. No, he struggled madly, releasing his foundation and burning his potential. He wanted to borrow power from the heavens, but it was useless. Small Pagoda endured the danger of collapsing and desperately imprisoned Celestial Tyrant Lord's body. It cut off his connection with the immortal world, cutting off his monarch power, causing him to be unable to borrow the power of the immortal world to break out of the situation. With a scream, Celestial Tyrant Lord's body broke. Monarch blood sputtered and dyed the 3,000 realms red. It was like a bloody flood that filled the sky, accompanied by a sea of laws that burned. The various monarch clans were shocked. The whole world trembled, causing a terrifying storm that shook the entire immortal world. Another chapter. Brothers, we've updated 2 chapters today. We finally killed the big guy. Brothers, please vote for us. Chapter 1917. Celestial Tyrant Emperor's body was torn apart. This was the disintegration of a colossus. In an instant, a blood-colored storm howled, wailing as it suppressed millions of ancient worlds. The myriad sects were shaken. The old clan masters of all races were trembling. Had a monarch fallen? Blood, the entire world was covered in blood. It was going to flow through the ages, destroy a great era, drown the flourishing age of the heavens, exterminate all life in the universe. In an instant, a blood-colored storm surged. Heaven and earth went berserk. The great Tao collapsed, and the sun and moon sank. Quick, use your trump cards to isolate the corruption of the monarch blood. We definitely can't let it flow into the ancestral lands. The matter within Celestial Tyrant Emperor's body contains the cycle of life and death. It will cause devastating damage to the environment. A few ancient clans, orthodoxies, and ancestral lands released endless holy splendor. The great protective formations were activated in unison, connecting with the great environment of the immortal world and isolating the surging blood-colored storm. The various great ancient cities were also shining, resonating. Even so, a few great sects and ancient cities were as red as a sea, as if they were contaminated by the monarch blood. This was a world-shaking event. The monarch's body was torn apart, scattering down a blood-colored storm. This was harmful to 99% of the creatures. Once they were affected and contaminated, they would easily lose their lives. Even the ancestral lands of various orthodoxies would be contaminated. One could well imagine the severity of the situation. Was the monarch hacked to death by a single sword strike? The old monsters let out a trembling roar. The remnant, might of the sword, just now was still there. Those with superb heavenly eyes could clearly see that where Celestial Tyrant Emperor's body was torn apart, there was a large crack. It was so deep that one couldn't see the end. It practically ran through the past, present, and future. It was unknown which era it came from. In addition, the boundless sword intent was emitted. The old monsters of all races felt a chill run down their spines. Ahead of them was a land of death. Touching would mean death. Not even immortal kings dared to rashly approach it. Roar! The roar exploded, shaking the blood-colored starry skies. The great stars in the sky were like rain, falling uniformly. Following that, they exploded, destroying countless great mountains and territories. The ruined rivers and mountains were dyed with bloody light. They were all turned into forbidden lands of death. He still hasn't fallen? This is too terrifying. He was cut in half at the waist just now. Everyone was in despair. How powerful was a monarch? The power of the sword strike just now was enough to defy the heavens. Little Pagoda and the mysterious skeleton worked together to kill Celestial Tyrant Emperor. This declining monarch wasn't completely dead and emitted endless flames of fury. However, the mysterious skeleton was no exception. After all, it was a martial monarch with the monarch horoscope protecting it. CET. Celestial Tyrant Emperor's body, and his blood-stained head that roared. In an instant, his broken body surged with supreme Emperor Tao laws, as if a special fate was burning, flowing with supreme law profound mysteries. It was so grand that it was as if the indistinct body of an unrivaled being appeared, wishing to break through the years and obtain eternal life. And was S's? Was it? It was. Was it? Power, power, power. Was. Lane. It. Core it. It was. Emperor. The small pagoda seemed to be roaring, and the ancient words engraved on the pagoda shone brightly. The 10 levels of the pagoda seemed to have become clearer, as if it was drawing the outline of a majestic figure. It was also as if it had turned into the supreme human sovereign pagoda. Vaguely, it was surging with a supreme heavenly might, as if it was about to turn into the human sovereign pagoda. Shao Pagoda, forcibly stabilized the suppression. At this moment, Celestial Tyrant Monarch had already gone mad. He burned his Monarch horoscope and activated his innate mystique. This was a Monarch horoscope mystique, and the aura it exuded was so strong that it felt like the apocalypse was coming. Even Shao Pagoda was about to disintegrate. However, in the blink of an eye, the magnificent Monarch horoscopes were suddenly filled with holes. These were cracks, one after another. Not only did the mysterious skeleton's sword/sever Celestial Tyrant Monarch's body, but also left a mark on his Monarch horoscope. The Monarch horoscope was on the verge of breaking apart. Shao Pagoda wanted to forcefully kill him, but suddenly it sensed a mysterious power flowing out from his Monarch horoscope. It was so terrifying that it wanted to burn his entire Monarch horoscope, causing his injuries to worsen. The Monarch horoscope was like a fiery red reincarnation ocean. Seems like I can save some effort. The mysterious skeleton whispered. Celestial Tyrant Monarch's Monarch horoscope had been injured for a long time, and even now, it still had not recovered. This meant that it was an incurable injury. Even if Shao Pagoda and the mysterious skeleton retreated now, Celestial Tyrant Monarch would not be able to survive because his injuries were worsening. However, they would not allow Celestial Tyrant Monarch to return to his family alive. No! The reincarnation monarch cried out in despair. He could still survive for a while with the help of the Monarch horoscope. But now, the injuries he suffered in the past had not healed. With the addition of the old injuries and the new injuries, the Monarch horoscope was on the verge of death. He also had a premonition that he would not be able to live for more than a few days. Boom! Heaven and earth trembled violently. The Monarch horoscope sea burned, waves surged, and the boundless world shook. Even with Shao Pagoda's power isolating it from borrowing the immortal world's power, even with Shao Pagoda's power protecting and suppressing it, the Monarch horoscope sea still released fluctuations that made everyone tremble. The indistinct effects were great and terrifying, instantly affecting an entire clan. The ancient Reincarnation Emperor clan, the number one origin of all clans, was located in the Reincarnation realm. As one of the most ancient 3 Emperor clans of the immortal world, the Reincarnation Emperor clan's silent ancestral land suddenly shook. This was the Reincarnation lineage, so one could imagine how great of an uproar it caused. What happened? The clan was in chaos, the higher-ups all starting to stir. What kind of clan were they? Right now, the entire ancestral land was shaking. Immortal kings walked out from the secret palace one after another, every one of them an unmatched existence, terrifying creatures, terrifying to the extreme. Roar! A mournful roar exploded, shaking the entire Reincarnation Emperor clan. Countless clansmen were trembling, their bodies almost collapsing. Even the immortal kings cried out in shock. Blood flowed from the ancestral court, drowning the clan. Shameful! What happened to my clan? There were immortal kings who roared out, their eyes blood red. What kind of place was the ancestral court? It was Reincarnation Emperor clan's most important forbidden land. To speak bluntly, in the entire immortal world, the Reincarnation lineage's ancestral court was a place of death without a doubt. Now, the ancestral court was dyed in blood. How many tens of thousands of years had it been since something like this happened? The taboo history of blood had already passed. It had already been tens of millions of years. Oh no! Sounds of fear and trembling erupted. Several immortal kings worked together to open up the ancestral court. They saw a grand and ancient giant stone statue that had been seated in the ancestral court for endless years. Now it suddenly broke apart into pieces, moreover bleeding. No, they were about to go crazy. The stone statues consecrated in the ancestral court were all Reincarnation clan's ancient ancestors. Now, a stone statue broke apart, indicating that the clan's emperor-level giants were gradually starting to wither away. The immortal kings roared out, their hearts and lungs about to explode. Their eyes were blood red, the heavens collapsing, great cracks appearing endlessly. Who did this? They released beast-like roars, the clan in chaos, everything unstable. The terrifying creatures in the sky went crazy, carrying their emperor-level weapons, wanting to kill their way out. The clan's younger generation were all shivering in fear. They were an unmatched emperor clan. Yet now, one of the emperor clan's sea-stabilizing pillars had collapsed, so one could well imagine just how great of a shock and fear this created. Every single one of them was trembling, feeling as if their clan's doomsday was coming. Buzz! In an instant, the reincarnation heavenly eye floating in the ancestral court spun across the sky, sputtering out endless ancient emperor light, emitting an unparalleled probing power, as if searching the entire immortal world. Searching for celestial tyrant emperor's aura. Who is it? They were about to go crazy. What happened to celestial tyrant emperor? No news could be sent back to the clan. Could it be that he had fallen into a place of death? Isolated from a world. Dong dong dong. In the direction of the source, the small pagoda fell again and again, continuously crushing the Emperor Fate Sea. I can't live. Celestial Tyrant Emperor roared. He was in despair, unable to walk out. The human sovereign sutra sealed the sky and the land, cutting off all his connections with the outside world. Every time the small pagoda came down, it was obliterating Celestial Tyrant Emperor's Emperor Fate Sea. Kill! With a final roar, Celestial Tyrant Emperor ignited all of his Emperor Fate Sea, paying a huge price. He wanted to break out of this situation, to rush out a remnant will, and send the news back to the clan. The resplendent, human, sovereign sutra's supreme profundities that filled the sky began to be riddled with holes from the impact. Under the Emperor's final counterattack, the small pagoda trembled. Some cracks appeared on the pagoda's body, as if it was about to disintegrate. Unfortunately, Celestial Tyrant Emperor's wish did not come true. The mysterious skeleton slashed out again, cutting the place where Celestial Tyrant Emperor fell, tearing the entire starry sky into pieces, cutting it into nothingness to prevent any divine will from escaping. At the same time, the immortal world trembled. Millions of ancient worlds resounded with the sound of the great Tao, containing sorrow, as if it was sending off the Emperor. The mournful sound of the great Tao spread to all parts of the immortal world, causing a huge commotion. This was a terrifying event. The great Emperor clans were trembling, feeling disbelief. The upper echelons of the Emperor clans were dumbfounded. What was going on? The immortal world was announcing to the world that the Emperor Fate Sea had fallen. The great Emperor clans were in an uproar. Time and space treasured mirrors appeared in their clans, reflecting the Emperor's blood that splashed across the broken void. Everyone's hearts were in great turmoil, almost shouting out loud. What was going on? An Emperor was dying, the blood was flowing nonstop, the outer space was collapsing continuously, and countless galaxies were destroyed. Who did it? The great Emperor clans were in an uproar. Ever since the previous taboo history, the immortal world had never had a bloody incident of an Emperor falling, but now, when the great war of immortals and devils was about to begin, an Emperor had fallen. Blood flowed across 3,000 worlds. In the end, the small pagodas sank, crushing Celestial Tyrant Emperor's head, and even his entire body withered, extracting the remaining essence of the Emperor's blood. This was cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots. Celestial Tyrant Emperor's body also had memories, so would not give any chance to escape. His bones were all swallowed by the small pagoda, and all the Emperor's blood was stripped, leaving only a tattered human skin. All the influence of Celestial Tyrant Emperor finally disappeared. Endless unwillingness was emitted. He had been recuperating for a long time, but in the end he was killed as soon as he walked out of the mountain gate. That person had said that he could stop, but Celestial Tyrant Emperor could not leave the mountain gate. Although it was said that that person had fallen and could not return, Celestial Tyrant Emperor really did not dare to take half a step out of the mountain gate. So many years had passed, and now he had just come out, and he suffered a fatal blow. Was this fate? In the vast, immortal world, a poignant and beautiful flower of blood bloomed. It was as if the most brilliant emperor's flower in history was blooming. An emperor had fallen, and the will of the great Tao of the immortal world was wailing. Old ancestor. Countless emperor clans were furious. In the entire Reincarnation Emperor clan, a series of experts from Celestial Tyrant Emperor's bloodline were trembling. Their blood was wailing, about to degenerate, about to be destroyed, about to be cut off. They were trembling in fear. The old ancestor had died, and the emperor's blood in their bloodline was wailing and trembling, foretelling a great disaster. Their hearts were filled with fear. Celestial Tyrant Emperors fall through the Reincarnation Emperor clan into chaos, and also the immortal world, and also the various great emperor clans into chaos. Just finished writing, even later, sorry everyone. Chapter 1918. Fairy Xia was in a daze. Even her soul was frozen. Celestial Tyrant Emperor was dead, killed. In fact, Celestial Tyrant Emperor's battle prowess was not that weak. Even though he had aged, he was still the former Celestial Tyrant Emperor, the former Reincarnation Monarch, the ruler of a supreme monarch clan. It was a pity that Shao Pagoda and the mysterious skeleton had joined forces to attack him. Shao Pagoda used the human sovereign scripture to suppress him, sealing off the sky and earth and cutting off the connection between Celestial Tyrant Lord and the immortal world. Otherwise, there was not much hope to kill him with one slash. Perhaps the mysterious skeleton would have fought to its death. Now, the mysterious skeleton was already dim and his soul was starting to weaken. This slash used the power of the immortal world. With the void sword, it swallowed the divine power of several ancient worlds. In the end, it was enough to support the mysterious skeleton, erupting with the peerless supreme art he had comprehended for millions of years. The fall of a monarch, the storm howled, causing chaos in the immortal world. A supreme monarch had fallen. The impact of this matter was too shocking. Some ancient monarch clans were shocked. Who was it that did this? Were they crazy? Legend says that Celestial Tyrant Emperor must not come out of seclusion. Could it be that he is still alive? The old monsters cried out in fear, thinking of an ancient taboo. Those who knew the inside story were extremely few. Now, Celestial Tyrant Emperor had just stepped out of the mountain gate and died. A storm, a boundless storm surged, causing the world to tremble. The immortal world was in an uproar as experts of various races rushed towards the destination. Ominous. This is an ominous sign. We must win the great war of immortals and devils. We must strike a great fortune. The fall of a monarch will affect the decline of a clan. Fortunately, Celestial Tyrant Emperor and the Reincarnation Clan still have a new monarch clan. Otherwise, our immortal world will have an emperor clan wiped out. An old monster hiding in the famous mountains and rivers whispered. The impact of these words was too great. The fall of a monarch could affect the decline of a clan. It was too shocking. No wonder in the history of the immortal world, there were some monarch clans that disappeared in the long river of history. The great war of immortals and devils was about to begin. The dark world was eyeing covetously, but the fall of a monarch expert in the immortal world was an ominous sign. This was the sign of a great disaster. What was this? This was a sign of decline. One of the pillars of the immortal world had collapsed. How could they not panic? This matter was too big. The Reincarnation Emperor clan has gone mad. The entire ancient divine mind world was in an uproar. Not only this place, even the most ancient emperor clans of the immortal world went crazy. Endless vicious weapons rushed out. Immortal kings carrying great killing weapons rushed over, making the entire bleeding ancient divine mind world tremble. The entire clan was mobilized to attack the ancient divine mind world. Their clan's strongest supreme treasure had been sent here. They seriously suspected that it was the work of another monarch race. Otherwise, who would have the confidence to kill the weakened celestial tyrant monarch in such a short time? Moreover, in the entire mortal world, there were only a few monarch races who were qualified to do so. Terrifying killing intent spread out and engulfed the entire celestial world. Everyone trembled and couldn't even raise their heads. This race was going to be furious, wanting to kill all of their enemies. There were also immortal kings who were sobbing, their trembling hands holding onto the tattered skin of celestial tyrant emperor. They threw their heads back and howled, their eyes bulging from their sockets as tears of blood flowed out. It was too miserable, beaten until only a tattered piece of human skin was left. Everything turned into an empty shell. This was the most cruel slaughter. Who was the one who did it? Such cruel methods. The Reincarnation Emperor race asked themselves if they had any enemies in the celestial world who hated them so much. Then, who was it and what was their goal? Terrifying creatures ran everywhere, their roars splitting the sky, wanting to make the entire ancient divine mind world fall, wanting the celestial world to enter a bloody era. Who dares to provoke our reincarnation lineage? Who dares? In the entire celestial world, who dares? The bleeding universe trembled. The monarch races were furious, their killing intent covering the sky and covering the earth, sweeping through time and space, throwing the world into chaos. At the same time, some monarch races were in disarray. Great figures walked out one after another, having no choice but to stand out and declare that this matter had nothing to do with them. It happened too suddenly. They wanted to know who was the one who did it, to actually destroy Celestial Tyrant Emperor. In short, the ancient divine mind world was completely sealed, becoming a forbidden land. The place where Celestial Tyrant Emperor fell also became a place of death. No monarch race dared to approach. The race would definitely use endless methods to find out who did it. This was a situation where they would not rest until one of them was dead. Let's go, this world is too crazy. Monarch experts are dying. The Reincarnation Emperor race is going crazy. I don't know who did it, but there's no hope for us to leave. Large areas of ancient worlds have been sealed. The Reincarnation Emperor race have all come out to find the murderer. Celestial Tyrant Emperor died, just like that. I don't dare to believe that a monarch expert would die. How many years has it been since something like this happened? The storm caused by this matter became more and more intense, sweeping through all parts of the celestial world in a short period of time. One pagoda and one sword killed the previous monarch of the Reincarnation clan. This was a trampling on the dignity of the entire Reincarnation lineage. Suyan's group was already far away from the disaster. Big Goldie continuously broke through time and space. They were far away, only stopping after a few days and nights. Near a bustling ancient city, the mysterious skeleton was already extremely weak, about to fall asleep. Suyan's group entered the city. This place was too far away from the ancient divine mind world. Big Goldie brought them without rest, crossing at least 1,000,000 ancient worlds. This ancient city was also full of heated discussions about the death of Celestial Tyrant Emperor. This showed how shocking the commotion was. Many people were discussing, suspecting that it was done by other monarch clans. Otherwise, who could kill Celestial Tyrant Emperor? Someone even released a shocking news, saying that several geniuses of the core regions of the Immortal Grotto had suddenly deteriorated physically and mentally. Bao Kai was stunned. The impact of this was too great. The fall of the Celestial Tyrant Emperor would implicate his descendants as well. But then again, monarch clans were monarch clans, with a living monarch expert influencing them. No wonder they were so glorious. Although it was difficult for them to produce a peerless genius, it was not difficult for them to produce a world-shaking overlord. But once they died, it would affect the rise and fall of the clan. Let them fight each other, as long as the spearhead is not pointed at us. Bao Kai was secretly happy. After doing such a big thing, the Reincarnation Emperor race did not know who the enemy was. This clan suffered a great loss. Fairy Zixia was also secretly laughing. The Reincarnation Emperor race was probably searching for the enemy all over the world, who knew how long they would go crazy. The first mountain under the heavens. One can participate in the Immortal Demon War just by reaching the peak. How amazing is this mountain? Suyan was a little surprised. The whole city was in heated discussions. The first mountain was about to open, or maybe it had already opened. The destination was also very close to the Emperor's city. The Immortal Demon War was about to start. They had to set off quickly to avoid missing the opportunity. Baokai was speechless. The first mountain of the immortal world was definitely an amazing place, and one could get a place to enter by reaching the peak. The value of this mountain was too great. They were asking around and found that some people were talking about them. Some people's words were very unpleasant, shouting that Su Yin was not qualified to be on the letter of challenge. This made Su Yin very surprised. Was he that famous? Soon, Su Yin understood, so it was the dark world that issued the letter of challenge. His name was also on it. Su Yin also thought of the Dark Beast King. His heart turned cold. It seemed like this Beast King's position in the dark world was not ordinary. The letter of challenge issued by the dark world naturally had a huge impact on the immortal world, especially the appearance of the first mountain. It affected billions of ancient worlds in the immortal world. There were already countless prides and overlords rushing to the destination. I must go to the first mountain. Su Yin whispered, a smile on his face. This was a rare opportunity. He had to seize it. To participate in the immortal demon war. How could it be just a matter of words? It was something that could be obtained just by talking about it. Without sufficient battle prowess and prestige, it was impossible. Moreover, if one reached the peak of the first mountain, the Immortal's Cave would give a huge amount of rewards, and one could also become a core seed of the Immortal's Cave, treated and nurtured as an unparalleled prodigy. This was very shocking. Even Su Yin was shocked. It seemed like the test of the first mountain was no small matter. Su Yin and the rest went around to gather information. There was very little news about the Celestial Tyrant Lord. It was very limited. This made him feel relieved. After all, if they were traced back to him, there would be no place for them in the immortal world. Soon, they gathered in a secret cultivation room, all of them determined to climb the first mountain. The 9-inch-tall pagoda was also very dim. There were many cracks on the pagoda. Crunch! Small pagoda was chewing. Su Yin and the rest were watching in a daze. Piece after piece of divine material, every one of them a rare item. An ordinary piece appearing in an auction would cause immortal kings to fight over it. How many had Small Pagoda swallowed? It had been eating wildly for several days, and was still eating now. Big Goldie's eyes were red. He really wanted to give it one. He also wanted to take the opportunity to recover his losses. Taking the opportunity to recover and recuperate, Small Pagoda stole the Celestial Tyrant Lord's resources. Fairy Zixia cried out in surprise. Large amounts of divine material were all very valuable. This was the inheritance of a great emperor. Small Pagoda swallowed it crazily, and its injuries were gradually recovering. Golden Dipper mother material. Su Yin cried out. Big Goldie's eyes were also red. A fist-sized Golden Dipper mother material. This was a huge fortune. Small Pagoda swallowed it directly, chewing vigorously. There was even a batch of resources not inferior to the Golden Dipper mother material, all swallowed by Small Pagoda. Big Goldie, calm down. Su Yin smiled bitterly and said, Small Pagoda is injured. It needs to recover. Big Goldie looked like a victim who had come to visit, but it was clear that Small Pagoda's injuries were serious. Now that it had refined a huge amount of celestial materials, the scars on its body had completely healed. Baokai wiped off its cold sweat. The batch of resources that Small Pagoda had swallowed was priceless, because it had been secretly eating for several days already. These divine materials were all qualifications that immortal kings would fight over with their lives. What is that? All of a sudden, Su Yin sensed a particularly frightening power. It was too far away from here, but there was also a frightening aura that extended here. The whole city was trembling, and countless people were drowsy. During the process, there was no fear, no panic, only drowsiness, as if all of them had fallen into the cycle of life and death. Reincarnation Clan! Su Yin shouted loudly. This was the emperor of the Reincarnation Clan, and he also vaguely caught a trace of familiarity, the heaven-opening reincarnation scripture. This one, could it be that he is even more frightening than the Celestial Tyrant Emperor? Mu Xin cried out in shock. Even through endless time and space, there was still a frightening reincarnation aura that spread here. After killing the Celestial Tyrant Emperor, The reincarnation clan will produce an expert that will intimidate the world. The mysterious skeleton spoke. This wasn't anything rare. The clan needed to establish their might, to intimidate, to rebuild the prestige of the Emperor clan, and to announce to the world that their clan had a new emperor and an unrivaled giant. Su Yin and the others had heavy hearts. Just how many titled emperors did the reincarnation clan have? Reincarnation Emperor. The ancient divine mind world that was bleeding was shaken. Where the celestial tyrant emperor had fallen, supreme emperor might spread, majestically engulfing the heavens and earth, forming a grand reincarnation domain that was going to make immortal kings fall into the land of life and death. Who was it that killed the celestial tyrant emperor, leaving no room for negotiation? The new reincarnation emperor was furious. His eyes stared at the tattered human skin, but he couldn't see any clues. Soon, a black-clothed woman walked over. The reincarnation emperor was shocked and walked up to greet her as a disciple. If outsiders saw this scene, they would definitely be alarmed. How ancient was the reincarnation emperor? If it was his master, what kind of existence was she? Chapter 1919. This tattered human skin had no value at all because it was completely empty. Everything had disappeared. A black-clothed woman stood in the reincarnation domain supreme, profound formation. She wasn't affected at all as she strolled leisurely through this area that had been shattered into nothingness. A pair of eyes that contained traces of time flitted past all of this ruined land. The black-clothed woman's figure was slender, and her black hair draped over her shoulders. Looking at her from behind, it was impossible to see how special she was. But if one stood in front of her, they wouldn't be able to see her appearance at all. It was as if they had fallen into the universe's abyss and were about to fall into the reincarnation vortex. Her cultivation was unfathomable, and her pair of eyes that were filled with traces of time and space indicated that she had lived for countless years. In her eyes, the shattered nothingness that filled the sky replayed itself. It was about to merge into one and evolve into the most genuine appearance. But it was about to be reconstructed into its most complete state. Boundless Sword Radiance was vast and mighty, terrifying to the point of severing 3,000 worlds. It tyrannically destroyed everything and reconstructed the formation. She closed her eyes slightly and sensed a trace of familiarity. Although it was extremely unfamiliar, there was still a trace of familiarity. Sword Ancestor. Over the endless years, the human world had been defeated. She had paid a great price to deduce the hiding locations of some of the giants that were struggling at death's door and killed them one by one. But there were a few that she couldn't find. She suspected that those people had already died. But now that she came into contact with a trace of familiarity, the black-clothed woman frowned slightly. The reincarnation emperor was silent. If she couldn't deduce them, then who was the one that made the move? In the bustling, ancient city, the enormous influence gradually dissipated. The city returned to normal. People came and went on the streets. Everyone's mind was preoccupied. Their reverence for the emperor race increased once again. The height of the emperor race was too shocking after all. The celestial tyrant emperor's inheritance was almost completely devoured by the small pagoda. What was left was very limited. In the end, the cosmic stone was also eaten by the stone pagoda, leaving behind a lump of precious liquid. It was like a concentrated emperor sea that floated in front of them, causing their bodies to burn. They wanted nothing more than to immediately absorb and refine it. Wong. At the same time, the small pagoda also changed. It was hazy with the light of the universe. The 10th layer of the pagoda was about to fully appear. Su Yin gasped in surprise. It was even more powerful than before. Once the 10th layer of the pagoda was fully formed, it would truly be incredible. Moreover, the reason why Small Pagoda had the chance to attack Celestial Tyrant Emperor was also greatly related to the creation of the Cosmos Stone, which helped it nurture the 10th level of the pagoda body. The little pagoda floated back into Su Yan's sea of consciousness. It seemed to be sleeping, digesting the cosmic stones, as well as consuming large amounts of immortal materials. Then, the next time Small Pagoda came out of seclusion, it would be a brand new treasure. Suyin also longed to be able to grasp it one day. This precious liquid is truly ridiculous. I almost can't help but swallow it. It can promote life, form, evolution. Divine light rained down from the skies. Cosmos, stone, essence, liquid. Every drop was like a flowing sea of laws. This was a terrifying amount of wealth. Baokai was even drooling. The little pagoda swallowed the cosmic stone essence and grew a 10th layer. It now had the power to defeat a titled emperor giant. In that case, the treasured liquid essence left behind would naturally have heaven-defying effects and would be of great help to cultivators. You can't use too much of this. Use it when you break through to the Emperor realm. You can't absorb it at the Saint realm, or there will be a big problem. 5 or 6 drops per person is enough. Remember not to reveal it in front of outsiders. Baokai and the others' desires were immediately extinguished. This item was too high-end. Breaking through to the Emperor realm was only enough to satisfy their needs. Moreover, the Cosmos Stone essence contained boundless vitality. Ordinary people simply couldn't afford it. Senior, can the Monkey King and the Phoenix King use it? Suyan's heartbeat sped up. Although the amount of Cosmos Treasure liquid was limited, the Phoenix King and the old monkey had done their best to help them. Suyan was also grateful. The old monkey's chi and blood were dried up. If he could use the Cosmos Treasure liquid to recover, it would naturally be of great significance to him. I can give it to you. The mysterious skeleton's words caused Mu Xian's large eyes to tremble. She was nervous and excited. The Phoenix King's injuries hadn't healed yet. With the help of the Cosmos Treasure liquid, he might be able to recover. In the future, there would be great hope for him to reach the Immortal King realm again. Baokai and the others were excited. This Cosmos Stone was completely unexpected. They had hit the jackpot. The mysterious skeleton's voice was weak. In the end, he said, "I'm going to sleep." After giving the Phoenix King and the old monkey some of the Cosmos Treasure liquid, the mysterious skeleton was also relieved. In the future, when they encountered danger, there would be experts who could stand up for them. Senior, Suyin felt a headache coming. "How's your body?" Baokai and the others were thunderstruck. Their expressions changed greatly. The loss was really so serious that they had to go into deep sleep. "I'm fine. It won't take my life," the mysterious skeleton said in a low voice. "When I'm not here, you must be careful. Don't be careless." "Old man, why are you showing off?" Fairy Xia's eyes were big. She said, "Your injuries are already serious. Why do you still have to fight? The price is not small, but we can vent our anger." The facts also prove that the reincarnation race's vitality was damaged back then. Otherwise, there wouldn't be only one titled Great Emperor coming forward. The mysterious skeleton sighed and said, "We also fought for a portion of the Great Emperor's blood. This can be considered the final baptism on the path of experts. There are many benefits to using the Great Emperor's blood to nourish your body." "How long do you have to sleep?" "Master, what treasures do you need to recover from your injuries?" Fairy Xia was very worried. He couldn't say for sure, so he said, "Remember, you have to endure when you need to, especially you. The reincarnation race will definitely find some clues and link it to me. In the coming days, don't use any supreme techniques related to me." "We understand." Suyin and the others nodded with heavy hearts. They were really worried that something would happen to the mysterious skeleton. The first mountain is a good place. There are unknown inheritances that can be fought for, but don't all participate. Suyin and Baokai, just the two of you will be enough. The mysterious skeleton sighed. Once someone noticed that Suyin and the others had all risen, they would very likely link it to the Emperor's repository Dao Cave. This would be a death sentence. It was fine if 1 or 2 rose up, but if all of them rose up, it would be a big problem. After all, this was related to the celestial world's greatest treasure trove. Who could sit still and do nothing? It would inevitably lead to a great disaster. Even if the Xian people didn't take action, others simply couldn't sit still. Perhaps because of the Emperor's repository Dao Cave, the death of the celestial Emperor of Light Tyrant would also be linked to them. Bamboo Moon had obtained the starry, sky-punishing Tao, which belonged to the supreme inheritance of the Burying Heaven Cave. On the other hand, Bao Kai was different. Although his beast god Tao was extremely powerful, even in the heyday of the Burying Heaven Cave, there were pitifully few inheritors of the beast god Tao. The celestial world's understanding of this Tao was also extremely limited. You are no longer weak. In the future, you'll have to rely on yourselves to walk the path of the strong. The mysterious skeleton gradually fell silent. Before that, it sent a seal into Fairy Xia's forehead. This was his Tao, a peerless supreme technique that he had comprehended after hundreds of millions of years of silence. He gave it to Fairy Xia and fulfilled one of her wishes. Master, don't worry and sleep. When you wake up, I will definitely master this peerless supreme technique. Fairy Xia's expression was downcast. She was worried about the mysterious skeleton. The mysterious skeleton smiled. The peerless supreme technique that he had comprehended in his lifetime was not something that could be learned easily. What he had dabbled in was an invincible inheritance. It was difficult to master it. Su Yin and the others were in a bad mood. In the end, the mysterious skeleton did not tell them what he needed to recover from his injuries. They also understood very well that even if he told them, they were not qualified to fight for it. Perhaps a treasure of that level could trigger the Great War of the Three Realms. Time is limited. Bao Kai quickly recovered and said, "We have to cheer up. The world's #1 mountain is about to open. Seize the time to bathe in the Emperor's blood and complete the final baptism." Before the final 3 realms of cultivation, the Daesung domain was the last cultivation mystic realm. Bathing in the Emperor's blood and laying the foundation of a powerhouse would be of great help to their future growth. Strictly speaking, even the core members of the Heaven's Cave did not have this qualification. By the Emperor's blood, there was basically no hope. Even if the Emperor's clan had it, they would not sell it. "Let's split up." Su Yin and the others whispered for a while, and then the group dispersed. They went to the streets and shops of the ancient city to buy a large number of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. The mysterious skeleton gave them a prescription. With the Emperor's blood as a medicinal primer, and with all kinds of extraordinary items, they could complete a baptism. Originally, Su Yin thought that it would not cost much, but when they gathered a large number of items, his eyes widened. Each prescription consumed more than 30,000 gene of celestial source. This was a shocking amount of wealth. Even the Emperor Realm old powerhouses who had lived for a long time would find it difficult to take out. Fortunately, they had a great harvest before. Otherwise, it would be a big problem to gather all these extraordinary items. Bao Kai and the others visited all the medicine shops in the city. It took them 2 days to gather everything. At night, in the secret cultivation room that they rented, there was a large cauldron. It was calcined by the fire of the earth vein. The spring water in the cauldron was earth milk, emitting a rich fragrance. Stalk after stalk, rare spiritual medicines were thrown into the cauldron in large batches. There were even some strange ants and insects that contained astonishing medicinal properties. These things are the most valuable. Normally, they could only be dug out from ancient mines. The people of the world called them worms. These things grew by swallowing minerals, so their value is very high. Large cauldrons surged with blazing light one after another. They were dazzling, surging with boundless medicinal energy. They could even gather into a spiritual chi torrent containing great nourishment. For cultivators, this was the essence of holy medicine. Of course, this was still secondary. Su Yan's expression was solemn. He walked around the secret room, carefully inspecting the seal. "Big Goldie, it's up to you." Su Yan took out a seal jar. Big Goldie raised his large hand, activating the immortal King Battle Banner and Domain Suppression Furnace. The 2 supreme treasures revolved, sealing the entire secret room. No energy could leak out. "Open." Su Yan opened the jar. In that instant, heaven and earth's atmosphere became crazy. It was extremely terrifying and horrifying. As if an emperor was roaring, a devil king was furious. Boundless emperor might surged, as if it could suppress one's soul at any moment. Big Goldie used the two supreme treasures to seal the Emperor Blood's aura. Once the Emperor Blood's fluctuations leaked out, the Reincarnation clan would go crazy, perhaps oppressing the entire ancient city. Fortunately, this Emperor Blood had been refined, or else they wouldn't have been able to control it so easily, especially when it was used to refine pills. How long? Immediately afterwards, large cauldrons rumbled one after another. Every drop of Emperor Blood that fell into a cauldron triggered a surge of pure energy within. Following heaven overflowing irregular scenes, a rain of great Tao light shot out, as if the heavens were being opened. Fortunately, there were supreme treasures suppressing it, or else this irregular scene would have triggered great chaos in the ancient city. Mu Xin watched impatiently. She had also experienced a baptism, but what she could use was immortal king blood. Using Emperor Blood to complete a baptism was too extravagant. The mysterious skeleton's medicine recipe was naturally extraordinary. The medicinal liquid that had already been refined could neutralize the Emperor Blood, turning it into a cauldron of great Tao precious liquid. It was hazy with the scene of opening the heavens, releasing a vast energy rain of light. Su Yin stepped into the cauldron. It wasn't as berserk as expected, but instead extremely gentle. Bamboo Moon felt as if she had fallen into a mother's womb. The divine aura that filled the sky entered her body, and there wasn't the crazy increase in cultivation realm that she expected. Baotsai's entire body was brilliant and divine. This special baptism wasn't an increase in cultivation realm, but rather a return to the placenta of heaven and earth. It released divine light, comprehending the Tao of the immortal world. This medicine recipe is too strange, a bit better than the one my grandfather dug up back then. No wonder there are some matchless heavenly geniuses in the immortal cave who have the aptitude of great emperors. They are definitely bathed in Emperor Blood. They really did obtain the most powerful resources of the immortal world. Mu Xian looked at them. It was as if she was looking at a group of saints gathering clouds and ascending to immortality. Gradually, they were wrapped in supreme order laws, as if they had been born from their shells, transforming into innate bodies. Their bodies and Tao merged, causing the great Tao of heaven and earth to resonate. In the dark, Su Yin seemed to have transformed into a supreme being, standing at the peak of the immortal world, overlooking the boundless universe, omnipotent. This was a powerhouse. Magic power overflowed the heavens, crowding the immortal world and looking down on everything. Su Yan's cultivation realm rose rapidly, soaring to the peak of the seventh-day Song realm. Although this baptism wasn't to strengthen one's cultivation realm, but rather a special baptism that opened the great doors of powerhouses, Su Yin still almost stepped into the eighth-day Song realm. In the Day Song realm, each heaven was harder to cross than the last. Once one broke through, one's combat strength would soar. This was especially true for Su Yin, who was getting closer and closer to the peak of the Day Song realm. In fact, in these years, Su Yin had been more focused on the Tao arts than the improvement of his cultivation realm. Su Yin felt that the world had changed. He was close to the great Tao, and he couldn't help but exude a shocking divine aura. His body seemed to be covered by a layer of sacred light, vaguely revealing a peerless feeling. Human Emperor Scripture, Su Yin whispered in his heart. The divine light screen that filled the sky flowed and interweaved into brilliant symbols of the great Tao. It charged into the sky and transformed into a mighty and awe-inspiring figure. It was like the projection of a peerless emperor that filled the world. Mu Xian felt a strong pressure. She looked up at the figure that gathered between heaven and earth, and had an illusion that she would be suppressed at any time. What scripture was this? It contained incredible power. After this baptism, Su Yin found that it was easier to use the human emperor scripture, and he could explode with shocking combat strength, break through the barriers of cultivation realm, and defeat an emperor realm powerhouse. Strictly speaking, the human emperor scripture's starting realm should be the emperor realm, but Su Yan's cultivation was unfathomable. When the human emperor scripture erupted, he formed a seal, and endless lightning appeared. It was as if the laws of order in the world had transformed, and it flowed with a world-destroying light. Su Yin was pleasantly surprised. His strength had improved by leaps and bounds. All of this was to pave the way for him to enter the Emperor Realm. Then, once Su Yin stepped into the Emperor Realm, he might be able to reach the peak of the Emperor Realm in a short period of time. On the path of the strong, an era of explosive growth was about to arrive. This was the great help that Su Yin received from bathing in the essence of the Emperor's blood. What a magical bath! Su Yin gradually regained his senses. He felt that his body was full and peerless, and that there were treasures stored in his body. This was the essence of the Emperor's blood, hidden in his body. In the future, Su Yan's path of growth would be opened one after another, baptizing Su Yan's body. This was equivalent to a great treasure buried in the body in advance. After all, it was the baptism of the Emperor's blood, and it would be of great help to his cultivation history in the future. Su Yin asked how long Mu Xian had been in seclusion. 9 days and 9 nights. Mu Xian's big eyes were bright. She hurriedly said, "The world's #1 mountain has opened. We should set off immediately, or we won't be able to make it in time." 9 days? Su Yin was stunned. Then he saw Bao Kai and the others coming out of seclusion.